I see her. Yep.
Okay.
Angel and Aaron. Yep.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello? Yes. Hello?
Hello. What property are you here for?
It's 625 Pine Street, Reading, PA, 19602. Pero I need the translator, please.
I can't hear anything. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now I hear a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Beltran, we'll let you know when it's your time to talk about your project, and we'll let the interpreter introduce herself to you.
Okay, please, for my English no is very good.
Nope, that's okay. We have an interpreter. I think we have everyone, or all the board members.
Oh, did Rick join?
Yes, Rick's
Hi.
here. Hi, Rick.
Oh, there he is. Okay. Hey,
Aaron.
Rick.
I'm here.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so I know we're recording, so I will call the meeting to order. Welcome to the August 2021 meeting of the City of Reading's Historical Architecture Review Board. During the COVID-19 emergency declaration, the Historical Architectural Review Board, also known as the HARB, will hold its meetings using a virtual meeting platform since the public is still prohibited from attending the regular HARB meetings in person. Public comments for the HARB meeting were made available through email directed to Amy Johnson up to 5 p.m. today, August 24th. Comments will be read into the record at this time. Ms. Johnson, were any public comments submitted?
No, there were none.
Okay, all right, very good. So a full recording of tonight's meeting will be placed on the city's website after adjournment of the meeting.
Right out here.
Can you hear us, Nigel?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear.
You can hear, okay. All right, so thank you for your attendance this evening. Chapter 295 of the City of Reading's codified ordinances requires that the HARB be guided by the United States Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation and Guidelines for Rehabilitating Historic Buildings, Chapter 180, Construction Codes, and by any policies and/or guidelines hereafter adopted by the board or the City of Reading. While meetings of the HARB are generally informal, Robert's Rules of Order are used to structure the proceedings and maintain decorum. All attendees are asked to mute their microphones if they're not actively participating in the review of their application, and the audio portion of these proceedings will be recorded for record-keeping purposes. When the applicant hears the name of his or her property called by the chair, they should identify themselves and wait for the preservation officer to present the summary of the application proposal. The chair will then recognize the applicant when the time is appropriate for him or her to present any supporting information to the board. We do ask that applicants try to limit their presentation to 3 minutes. So Ms. Johnson, there were no minutes that were submitted for approval this month, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, very good. All right. Among the board, are there any conflicts of interest for tonight's agenda?
No.
Nope. Okay, very good. All right, so we will go ahead and review the first application, which is for City Park. I did tell Amy that I'm going to be a little challenged probably because we have a lot of information, emails, and sharing my screen. So it may not be as seamless as I've done in the past. So just kind of bear with me as I'm dealing with that.
Take your time.
Okay, all right. Okay, you can go ahead and start, Amy.
So the first item on the agenda, and I'm not sure if there's a representative present. I wasn't necessarily expecting one, but
Anthony Manzalola is present.
oh, okay. Thank you. I can't see everyone. Thank you.
All righty.
Okay, so this is for City Park, Veterans Memorial Grove, and it's situated on the lower slopes of Mount Penn, the 116-acre Penn's Common Historic District encompasses City Park and the neighborhood surrounding it. The City Park Veterans Memorial Grove, located adjacent to Constitution Boulevard in the southeastern corner of City Park, sits on land originally given to the citizens of Reading in 1748 by the family of William Penn for a public park. Various memorials within the designated monument area honor veterans that served during the 20th century. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the installation of a Purple Heart memorial in Veterans Memorial Grove. And the standards that apply to this project are standards number 9. New additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. And number 10, new additions and adjacent or related new constructions shall be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be unimpaired.
Okay,
That's all.
so, okay, that's all you have. Okay, so there is a representative for this application, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right, you're welcome. Excuse me. I have the screen here, so I can scroll down to what you're proposing, but if you'd like to talk through that, you have a few minutes to do so.
Okay, it's a Purple Heart monument honoring those names on the monuments up in City Park. It's 24 inches wide, and it's 8 by 30 in height, and it will have a purple. Well, there's the drawing right there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
And the funds are there for putting this in the park. This is part of the Persian Gulf Monument project, which I was chair of. And with the proceeds that we had left, we thought it would be, honorable to have a Purple Heart monument there, which it's not huge. It doesn't obstruct anything, but it's just there for the memory of those who served and they gave their ultimate. So that's where we came from
Okay,
on this.
thank you. Thank you. And I am projecting where the location is proposed. I'll show like a live shot here.
And I'm sorry, can I have your name again?
Anthony Manzolillo, Manzolillo. Tony.
Thank you very much.
So Amy, is it like it's back in this area by the tree?
Yes, it's behind that obelisk there,
Got it.
It's-
Okay, behind the
it's back.
obelisk. Yep, okay.
right about where your hand is, right
Okay.
where you have it.
Hi there. I'm waving. Okay, all right. So does the board have any questions about the proposal? Location, material, size, scale? Are there any exceptions to the application as proposed? No? Okay. Well, because of those long periods of silence, I presume that this application would, if someone's willing to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept what was what was presented tonight.
Okay. All right, as presented. Okay, very good. Is there a second to that motion, to Nigel's motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, call for the vote. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Politica?
Yes.
Okay, and Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so so Mr. Manzillo, sorry, I think I said that right. So yeah, you're approved, as proposed, no changes at all. So you're good
Okay.
to go.
Thank you very much,
Okay,
Eleanor. Okay, thank you.
thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
All right, thanks. Okay, so give me a minute to find our next application, which is for 547 Penn Street. 537 Penn Street, is that right, Amy, or
It's
540?
it's 547.
547, okay.
Okay.
Okay, you can go ahead and start.
Okay. This two-story structure located on the former Crystal Restaurant site was recently constructed in 1995. Therefore, the building does not have a site quality rating and is considered a non-contributing structure in the Callow Hill Historic District. The front facade features a drive-it and brick facade with 2 aluminum frame storefronts on the first floor, a bay of 5 windows above each storefront, and a recessed courtyard between the 2 storefronts. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the installation of a wall-mounted sign. It has been installed. And the Secretary of the Interior standards that apply to this project are standards number 2. The historic character of buildings shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. And number 5, distinctive features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a historic property shall be preserved, and the HARB sign policy. And I would like to add, I do have, I'll be adding throughout the night, I do have comments from the zoning administrator. And this applicant has completed a zoning permit application and has submitted it and is waiting approval by the HARB for the sign. And the applicant, I don't know if the applicant is on this meeting yet or not, or on it, but he has also indicated that he wanted to install additional signage on the door, but did not submit any specification.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Johnson. Is there a representative for 547 Penn on our call tonight? No, it doesn't sound that way. Okay. Amy, would you mind just telling us what signage was there previous and like what may have been approved before and what changes they made? We know this had already been installed without approval. Maybe you can give us the condition before.
It was
Sneaker Villa, wasn't it?
Sneakerville, yes, thank you. And it was a non-illuminated wall-mounted sign that was there previously. I think the mock-up of the sign that was submitted, that you were provided with, did have, you can see an outline of where the previous sign was. So the previous sign was centrally located over the storefront as well.
Mm-hmm. And they painted the background black.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. And it looks like maybe some lighting was, okay, the lighting is still there. Okay. All right.
Yes, some security lighting, I think, yeah.
Okay. And the Sneaker Villa sign was approved by the HARB, is that correct?
Yes, and it was
Okay.
Judging by, the mock-up picture, it was a little bit larger than what this sign was.
Okay, very good. All right. And it's the size of it falls well within our sign policy, is that right? In terms
That
of
is
square
correct.
footage? Okay, very good. All right. Okay, well, there's no applicant on our call. Does the board have any questions or discussion points among us relative to what's already been installed? Are there any exceptions to the installation?
No.
I did inform the applicant that when he mentioned that, he emailed me and said that he wanted to put additional signage on the door. I said, I reiterated, and he's been told by the zoning office that he was not to install the sign before HARB approval. But in my email to him, I expressed that the HARB has to approve any additional signage before he installs it.
Right, thank you. Thanks for making sure he's aware of that. Okay.
How is the sign being illuminated?
It's not. It's not illuminated at all.
And are they only open during daylight hours?
That I'm not sure. I know there was it was a transfer of a business. This business is currently located in, I think, the 200 block of Penn Street, but I don't know what the hours are.
I would be concerned that if they have daylight or evening hours, that there may be a secondary effort to illuminate this sign and just making sure that that comes back before the board. I have no exceptions to the design of the logo, but I think it would be preferable if the signboard area was the same color as the sign so that it didn't look like the panel was applied to the face of the signboard area, that it's actually integrated into the signboard, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Just so there's not such a hard break between the sign and the backing. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still all part of like the overall sort of signage package. So if we wanted to include that as part of our motion, in terms of painting that area, I don't think that would be out of purview for us.
No.
Amy, may I ask, do you think there was electrical in these white areas that are capped? Have any idea what those might be?
I do not know, to be honest with you.
They're strangely located, so I was just kind of curious. Okay, maybe that just goes back to like ensuring that, and you could reiterate that with the applicant.
Sure.
Lighting. Okay.
He did not say anything about lighting, but no,
Okay.
sir. I am willing to repeat things 1,000 times.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. Well, are there any other questions about the application or comments?
I would say we would definitely want to make sure we put some kind of provision in that if, lighting is going to be added at some point, that, we're going to have to address that on a separate note. And that does, just because we approve a sign today doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to approve the lighting, without, at least coming past us again. So,
Yeah. Well, we can include that in the motion to ensure the applicant comes back if they're proposing any lighting, and then for any additional signage on the door or the windows. That language could be included in the application too. Is someone ready to make a motion?
I'll make a motion along the lines that I just discussed. We'll make a motion. I would approve it also to make the sign the same color as the background, or, have it fill in that entire, make it all consistent with one color, not two colors like it is there. And if there is going to be a issue with lighting coming up in the future, that needs to come by the board as a separate application. That's not conclusive into this application today. Does that make sense?
Yep, certainly does. Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, I'll call for a vote. Mr. Booth.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Politica
Yes.
and Ms. Walker.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay. All right. So let's move on to our next application, which is 1049 Penn Street. And let me find that. And Amy, you can go ahead and talk through the the summary if you'd like.
Okay, so this is 1049 Penn Street. This 3-story corner building built in the Queen Anne style received a site quality index rating of 86 and is a contributing building in the Penns Common Historic District. The building's historical integrity remains substantially intact and features a brick facade with a coarse stone facade at the basement level, 2-story bay windows at the southern and eastern facades, a decorative paneled cornice at the 3rd floor roofline, and original wood windows. The building also features a restaurant located at the basement level with large picture windows. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for signage on the building. And the Secretary of the Interior standards that apply to this project are standards number 2, 5, and the hard sign policy. And I had read the Secretary of the Interior standards previously.
Okay, very good. All right, is there an applicant for 1049 Penn?
Yes, that would be myself. I'm the owner of the building. And Peter Hart, I believe, is on audio, and he is the property manager that takes care of the building.
Okay.
Don't hold that against Kathy.
That's a
Oh, you've
separate
met
conversation, Peter.
You've met Peter, huh? Okay. Yeah, hi. How you doing?
Hi, good.
Hello.
So you're welcome to speak about the property if you'd like, unless Amy captured everything in her summary.
I believe she did. The tenants had a little bit of a struggle understanding zoning and some other issues that we've had, but they've corrected it and they've applied appropriately as best they can with the knowledge level that they have. And we're trying to assist them now to do the correct thing and to do right by what HARB guidelines are. And for instance, the temporary banners will remain temporary as long as you tell us what that timeline is. The feather banners that I'm talking about.
Yep.
I understand that there are to be 2 LED, one coffee. I didn't even know they had coffee there. I think that was from the previous tenant that did a coffee shop there. An open sign and an ATM. So we'll reduce it to 2 signs. I want to know if it's possible, instead of using a coffee sign, if they elect to do a different one. Is that appropriate? Instead of saying coffee, because it's not really a coffee shop.
We'd have to, we can discuss that as a board if they're,
Okay.
If they will allow 2 lit signs just based on the frontage that you have on different streets, because it's a corner property. Okay.
Right. Yeah,
Yep.
because that's a little bit challenging, because then someone doesn't know that's going down 11th or whatever. So
Mhm.
it'd be nice to have it on both sides of the building if we can.
Right, exactly. Okay. All right. So let's review. And Amy, I may have dreamt this up. Is this signage here? Did this get removed, or is this
That
currently
is-
there?
Yeah, that has been removed.
Okay.
I think scroll down a little bit. The last picture in the show, in the
Oh, I
property
see.
shows what
Yep.
is there now.
Okay, got it. All right. Okay, so let's focus first on the graphics on the sign here, which have already been installed. And it's not lit, is that right, Amy?
That
So-
is correct.
No illumination, okay.
It is currently not lit. However, there may be a plan to light it in the future, but right now it is currently not lit.
Okay, thank you. Okay, does the board have questions about the sign itself? It typically we're not so favorable toward all the graphics on all the information on the signage, but I would like to understand how the board views that. I'm just going to unshare for a second and check something. Does anybody have questions for the applicants?
My only observation would be the sign policy that identifies that the sign should be kept as simple as possible and is not for advertising services or
Right.
products. So the imagery of food, I think, would probably not fall within the guidelines of the policy. Otherwise, the name of the business, the telephone number, we could certainly approve that. Even the chef's graphic, if that's part of their official logo, we could certainly approve that as well.
So your objection then is the pictures, the images of food. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct. That would be the only portion that I can see that may not fall within the guidelines of the policy.
Would they be allowed to leave it until it, if you were to vote to not have the graphic on there, may they leave it in place until they can have it replaced so that they can have their restaurant identified in a timely manner? I'm talking about.
I don't think the board would object to that, but we would want to state a period of time,
Right.
that would have to be changed out. Because I mean, and how long has this been installed?
No more than 60 days,
So 60 days.
roughly. They were, the city shut them down for over a month because of issues like they didn't have the proper toilet seat involved, just minor stupid stuff. So it's just been a absolute nightmare getting them back into the business to begin with. They're doing the best they can. They've never done this in Reading. There's very little help from City Hall, and not Amy in particular, but very little help from zoning because everybody's so short-staffed. It's just been, it's been a nightmare process for them from the beginning, and that's kind of why they're not on this call tonight. Just we didn't want to burden them with everything going on, so that's why Kathy and I are kind of handling it at this point.
Okay, understood. Thanks, Peter. Okay. All right, so, okay, let's turn our attention to the signage that's proposed for the, basically like the street level, the lower windows. So like you said, not a coffee sign, but can we just talk about the application for 2 lit signs? Now, previous to this, Amy, I know you you told the board, can you just highlight again what was previously approved at the business that had this location before? Because I do think that coffee sign was a leftover.
Yes. Just give me a minute.
It's August 2019.
Yes, in August 2019, at staff level, I had approved an open sign and the refacing of that corner sign on the building. And then the board had approved the coffee sign. Let's see, the neon sign reading coffee to be located in the basement level storefront window on the eastern facade. And then they had approved 2 temporary feather banners reading now open, one read now open, the other one read smoothies for a period of 60 days as per the zoning ordinance. And they were installed on the railings on the first floor southern and eastern facade, so 1 on each side of the building. This is in a residential zoning district, so there are more stringent rules. The rules are more stringent according to the zoning ordinance than the HARB sign policy.
Okay, all right.
Zoning did not have a problem with their signs, so they are completely fully up and running with zoning at this point and operating.
Well, you have, are you referring mostly to the feather banners, Amy?
Yeah,
just
in
overall?
this case, the feather, what they have, on the building would meet the zoning ordinance right now, as
Okay.
I did speak with the zoning administrator this morning. But the feather banners, the, HARB has only approved those for a temporary
Yep.
time
Yeah,
period.
and the tenants are only looking for those as a temporary basis. They'll take them down after 90 days or whatever the board would approve. We'll get those down, but they're just trying to advertise their business to increase foot traffic at this point.
And Peter, would you also say those have been up for no more than 60 days?
Those have actually probably been up no longer than, they're only up when the restaurant is open. So I would say 60 days, but probably more like 45.
I had taken photographs when I found the violations, and I had taken photographs on July 13th, and the feather banner was up.
Mhm. Yep, I can see that. Okay. All right.
But they also shut them down for a month. So like Peter said, when they're not open, those aren't out there. So technically in the last month, they haven't been out at all.
Yeah, I understand all of that, but all of the signage is in violation in that we did not approve it. So I want you to remember that. So Amy, the ATM sign that was approved prior to that, is that the one that's been set back? The board approved a setback of 24, or rather, if it is set back 24, it doesn't fall under signage approval. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is a rule in the HARB sign policy. Actually, let's see, the coffee sign was to be set back 24 inches from the window. There is no mention in the previous resolution about the ATM sign. So
Okay.
that has not been approved at all.
Okay.
And I'm sure none of that information got relayed to the new applicant because they are a completely separate business. They have nothing to do with the old business that was in there.
I have a question. The base of the feather signs, is that like a plastic base that's weighted down?
There's no base, it's just tied to the railing.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, so it's completely temporary.
Okay. All right. So sorry, Amy, I just want to make sure I'm clear and the board is clear. So prior to this, the coffee sign did not have to be approved because it was set 24 inches back from the window.
It was approved by the board, like reviewed and approved by the board, but they mandated that it had to be set back 24 inches from the window. And it's probably because an illuminated open sign had already been approved.
Okay. All right. That's what I wanted to understand then. Okay. Which is what we see in this picture here. That looks like open, not ATM to me.
Yeah, they're in the eastern, let's see.
I'm sorry. I'm just not clear what's there.
That's okay. What's there? If you, the last photograph that I provided you, you can see everything.
Can
The
you
one
share that
dated
on your screen, please?
8/19/2021. It should be the last page in the
Mhm, mhm.
application. That one, yes. So on the south facing facade, there's an open sign all the way to the left-hand side.
Mhm.
There is a coffee sign in the right-hand window towards the corner. And then on the eastern facade, so going up North 11th Street, there is an illuminated ATM sign and
Mhm.
another open sign and the open feather banner.
Okay, got it. All right.
And
So there's currently four lit signs in the windows.
Correct, yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. That's what I need to understand. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
All right.
How many lit signs are allowed per HARB guidelines? And the only reason I ask that question is because we have 8 windows down there. Those windows run the entire length and width of the building. well, I'm sorry, not entire length, but the entire length and width of the restaurant.
I'm just,
I don't believe that the sign policy states that there is a limit on the number of illuminated signs, but it does limit the signage. For instance, one open sign, like an hours of operation sign, possibly a sandwich board sign. And in the residential district, I believe the zoning administrator stated that only one wall-mounted sign is allowed on the building. So I'm not sure what the zoning regulations are as far as window signs, but.
okay, but we're just
Correct.
here. I mean, we're just reviewing it against our sign policy.
Yes.
Zoning is something else. So, okay. All right. Okay. So let me get a little bit of clarity to this then. So, okay. So does the board, okay. So based on the fact that the policy is not like explicit into the number of lit signs, I do believe that the board should be consistent in terms of the review that was provided and the motion that was provided on the business that was in that location previous to this. So hold on a second. This is why I hate sharing my screen.
No, take your time.
Okay. 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 And at that time, it was basically one lit sign and the other one was set back.
Yes, yes.
Okay, an open sign. Okay, all right. Does the board, I think there's precedence for that. Does the board agree that that is the way this application should also be reviewed?
I would agree with that.
Okay, thank you.
I agree also.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, so the proposal then is obviously for the signage in the existing sign area where Dan's signage was, they're asking for temporary approval for the feather sign that would only be up during operating hours. Note that these signs have been up for 45 to 60 days. And for the, I guess, like retaining basically 4 lit signs, but also understanding that the board previously only approved 1 lit sign. And those other lit signs can be, they don't fall under the signage review by the HARB if they're set back 2 feet
All
from the
right, so
window.
let me ask the HARB if they would approve a motion to give me one sign on either, well, I'm sorry, one sign on either side in the building, either an open or an ATM, and then all other, so 2 illuminated signs in the window, and then all the other signage, illuminated signage. If I think they can take down the coffee. I don't know about the ATM. They do have an ATM, but I'll make sure they step that back 24 inches at a minimum. Would that be acceptable?
I think we'll make it all in one motion when we do this.
Right, but I'm saying, would that be amenable to the board to do one open sign on either side of the building and then all other signage being placed, if not removed, being placed 24 inches back set off the window pane?
No, I think that one, well, we can't have all that signage in the windows. We just
If I
can't.
set it back 24 inches, I can have as much as I want, is what I'm saying. So I'm trying to make a compromise.
My advice to the board is is consistency. And at the time of the previous business, we approved 1 lit sign and we approved, and the applicant was allowed to set back another lit sign. And you can, I suppose you can do another one, Peter. I don't think there's any limitation. Am I wrong in saying that, Amy?
No,
Setting it
Yeah,
back 24? Okay.
as
You can
long
have
as
a,
it's, as long as it's 25 inches or
Okay.
more back, and more than 2 feet back, they
okay,
can have whatever.
whatever they want. Okay. And so my recommendation to the board, although it's completely up to the person that makes a motion and the rest that vote, that that this be applied as consistently as the last application, or
I
applied in the same way.
I have a question about the feather signs. How are they attached to the railing?
Peter would have to answer that.
Yeah, there it is.
Temporarily.
No, I'm not asking if it's temporary. I'm asking how they are attached to the railing.
I can't give you an honest answer to that question. I haven't been there to see it, how they're attached. I would assume with either, I would assume with either zip ties or bolts or something. I don't know.
Okay. So what I see here are some bolts
Okay?
or zip ties, and you're telling me that they're cut off every single night or taken off every single night?
No, if you look at the picture, what's attached to the railing is a sleeve, and the flag is slid into the sleeve every night and removed when they leave.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I see it as well, Nigel.
Okay. I'm just, it's really pixelated when I blow
Yep.
it up.
Yep, no, I totally understand. And we have had other folks that have used zip ties to permanently attach the temporary sign. So, okay, all right. Okay, I would like to bring this to a motion. Are there any other questions for the applicants or discussion points among the board members before we make a motion?
I would just make a comment that there's a couple things about this property that warrant special consideration. I think the fact that it's a corner property is somewhat unique in that it has 2 storefronts instead of 1. And I think the other unique aspect is that the storefronts are on a lower level that's partially below grade, which makes it difficult to see the storefronts. So I think those 2 unique features could be used for consideration of an exception in some respect to the policy if they're referenced appropriately.
Okay, I guess I don't, the board did not consider that in the previous application and was specific about setting that back. But I don't disagree with your point, Mr. Booth.
I don't think the previous application even brought that to the board's attention like Mr. Booth did. She was just there for a
Peter,
couple signage
Peter,
issues.
I'm not even sure. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, Lalo.
Okay, well, in light of what Mr. Booth said, is someone willing to make a motion or? we can-
I'm going to make a motion.
Okay,
I will make a motion that there is 1 illuminated sign that already exists on the 11th Street side.
I can't hear that.
Yeah, need to be a little more clear.
yeah, you had some interference there, Nigel. Just, do you mind starting over again?
Sure.
Okay,
My motion is that we allow 1 illuminated sign on the Penn Street side, 1 illuminated sign on the 11th Street side, that the banner sign that was on the strip stay removed, and that the feather signs are taken down permanently within 60 days.
and then the main, did you address the main sign?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm still thinking, it's a lot here.
Yeah, no, it is, yep.
The illuminated sign, well, it's not illuminated,
Not
correct?
illuminated, no, mm-mm. But we had talked about the food
Right.
being inappropriate all the time.
Take the food part off of it and make it very graphic as far as the name of the restaurant with the phone
Mhm.
number.
And do you have a time limit on when that needs to be corrected?
Yeah, I'm thinking here,
Okay.
60
Could I
days.
ask for 6 months on that?
Aaron,
Like
or
I said, they just got back opened up and it's gonna take them a while.
And I think that's up to the board. I think 6 months is excessive considering it's already been up for at least 60 days. That's my opinion. So Nigel, you can continue with your motion.
I'm gonna stick to 60 days along with the feather signs.
Okay. Thank you.
I
Okay,
just want to point out that the sign also has the address on it. So it's the name of the business, the phone number, and the address.
Correct, that's fine.
okay. All right. Thank you, Nigel. That was a complicated one. Thank you.
Can I
Is there-
interject something? May I interject something? And the sign has been up, agreed. I don't know how long it will take to replace the sign. I don't know. Everybody seems to be struggling to get workers these days, particularly as it relates to the trades. Might I ask for a little bit of an extension, say 90 days even, instead of 60? That's pretty fast to turn around and do another sign, particularly if I have to hire my designer to redesign it.
Nigel, are you content at 60 days or are you willing to move that to 90 for the main sign? It's up to you.
Considering the situation, I will go with 90 days in the motion for the what we're calling the illuminated sign, but the feather signs still come down
Within 60.
within 60, yes.
Okay. All right, so 90 for the main, 90 days for the main sign, and then the feather banner has to come down within 60 days.
Yes, what is that a vinyl, like, what is that in there? Plexiglass with vinyl?
Peter, do you know the answer?
I do not know the answer to that question. I mean, it was made by a sign maker, so I'm sure it's something that will last long.
Yeah, that's not my concern. I know a couple businesses that do that and have been working for me for some time with some things, and they've been pretty good about turning stuff around in a couple weeks. So that's why I asked.
Okay,
Well, I think I'd be inclined to ask a designer to do it and not do clip art and things like that. So that's why I asked.
okay. I need a second on that motion. Is someone willing to make a second?
Sorry, can you please clarify the time extension? Was that adjusted to 90 days?
Yeah, I'll speak. 90 days to change out the main sign, the one that currently has the food graphic on it. And then Nigel's motion was that the feather banner needs to be removed within 60 days.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll call for a vote. Mr. Booth?
Yes,
Okay, Mr. Politica?
Yes.
Okay, and Ms. Walker?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, so we can move on to our next application, which is 404 Penn Street. Is that correct? Yep,
That is
okay,
correct.
all right.
I'm not sure if there is a applicant present for this property. Doesn't sound like there is. Okay. Sorry. These four stores, actually 404 and 406 Penn Street, I apologize. These 4-story attached commercial and residential painted brick buildings received a composite index rating of 92 and are contributing buildings in the Callow Hill Historic District. Both have altered storefront levels, but the historic integrity of the upper floors is still, for the most part, intact. 404 Penn Street has 2 large bays divided by pilasters. The second floor has triple 1/1 windows under one segmental arch with transoms. On the third floor level, each bay has 4 narrow windows with transoms above. The fourth floor's bays each have a large round arch grouping of 5 windows with transoms. The parapet is simple with some decorative brickwork. 406 Penn Street has 3 2/2 windows on each level. The fourth floor windows have round arched upper sash with curved muttons. It has a large bracketed cornice with some decorative brickwork. These buildings are stylistically distinct. 406 would have been built first and is Italianate in style. 404 is also Italianate with some Romanesque details. Both were built in the mid to late 19th century. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the installation of an internally illuminated channel letter sign. And the Secretary of the Interior standards that apply to this project are standards 2 and 5, of which I read previously, and the HARB sign policy.
Okay.
And if you want me to continue, being that there's
Yeah.
not an applicant present.
Yep.
Just to give you a little bit of background, this property is being, and there is an intention to rehab the first floor front facade, of which I've been working with the owner and a contractor on, and that will come at a future meeting. But the owner is working to improve the facade in light of Alvernia College, opening up its building across the street at 401 Penn Street. And so they are proposing this internally illuminated channel lettered sign, of which the existing sign is the same sign design, internally illuminated channel letters. I have informed the property owner that there is currently lighting and additional signage that has not been approved by the board. None of what you see in the photographs. This photograph isn't, I don't know when this was taken, but I did provide you with recent photographs.
Mhm.
But I have informed him that that the board would be discussing the extra signage this evening. But right for tonight, besides the additional signage, they are just proposing this change in the internally illuminated sign.
And there's nothing in the proposal requesting what to retain in the storefront or the doors?
No, he did not respond to my email regarding any additional signage.
Okay. Do you not think this does look like it's winter time or something? Should I try to find the one
Yeah,
that
if you
before? Yep.
If you take a moment, the one that was that I sent you towards the end of this afternoon.
Oh, okay. That was it. That one that I just had up.
The one you just had up. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, you're right. You're right. It was.
That's the right one?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll bring that one back up, no problem.
I think if you scroll down.
That's more current. Okay, got it. All right, let me share
I'm
this.
sorry.
It's fine, it's fine. I didn't realize that. Okay, so that's the current
you
condition,
go,
at
yeah.
least like a month ago, month and a
Yeah.
week ago. Okay,
And I don't think it's changed.
okay,
This will also be a part of their proposal for the rehab of the facade, but the contractor informed me that I guess the set of doors on the right-hand side were ready to break or fall or hurt somebody, so they have been replaced without formal
Mhm.
approval. But that's not being reviewed, but I just want to point that out.
Mhm. Okay, all right. So we could just stipulate based on what's currently in the storefront area. Obviously the LED lights are in violation, and we could stipulate like one like lit sign and maybe hours of operation or something, whatever is in compliance with our policy.
Yes.
Yes, okay, even if it's not specific which lit sign. Okay, all right, well, let's talk about the proposal for the main signage for the Maria's pizza and wings. And so the graphics are obviously different, more condensed to the center, but it's still an internally illuminated sign. And if we have been favorable toward internally illuminated signs, even though the policy states clearly that the use of them is discouraged, they have been approved previously in the 400 and 500 block. Is that correct, Amy?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, all right. And at the time of our current sign policy, was the Maria's, the current sign, was that approved by the board? I presume it was.
That has been up there for many, many, many years, and I think as long as I've been here. So I did not research it, but
Okay.
it's been for a long, long time.
Okay, yeah, yeah, it's kind of looking long in the tooth, quite frankly, so,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Okay, so there's not an applicant here, but does the board have some discussion points or questions or concerns about another illuminated sign? Or okay with the proposal?
Is that actually the size of Maria's, how it's supposed to look on the building at this point, going forward? What they are proposing, I should say?
It appears to be to scale, is that right, Amy?
I'm assuming so. According to the specifications, the Maria's is 48 inches high by 146 inches, and the pizza and wings are 10 inches high by 146 inches. So maybe, I don't know if I'm all eyeballing it correctly. It might be a little bit smaller. I don't know, the way it's mocked up on the building, the pizza and wings looks higher than 10 inches to me, but I could be wrong.
Maria's looks rather huge too, as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. I'm not certain if the 40 is including the entire height of the M, like that, like as if they made a box around it.
Like
I
the
mean,
end would be 48 inches.
Yeah, and the lower case letters are smaller.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I do believe it might, at least in my view, it appears to be a big improvement over the current sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the owner informed me that it is no longer going to be operating as a bar. And that's why they're just advertising the pizza and wings, like they want to get the student takeout crowd.
And they are looking at improving the overall facade of the whole front of the building, because that thing is looking sad too.
Yes, the proposal, and the only reason it's not before you tonight is because there is additional information requested that they didn't provide. But they want to put like a thin brick veneer on the facade. And yes, it needs desperate improvement, and the owner is aware.
Yeah. These are buildings I wrote about like 2 years ago, so they have a special interest for me as far as that's concerned, so.
Amy, are you saying that thin brick facade, what is that material?
It's a stone material that's like a brick veneer, so it's not a full brick that would actually be applied to the facade, but I believe it's, and maybe Aaron Booth can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's an actual brick material. It's just an actual brick veneer, so it's very thin, and
So
it's
it's like
literally
an
called
adhesive?
thin. What?
It's like an adhesive that goes on there, like they
I think
glue
it's
on?
applied. I think it's applied with a mortar in between, and a mortar to the facade. I'm not absolutely certain. Let me see. Yes, mortar and grout. See, they did do like a section of how it's to be applied, and there's a mortar bed on which it's laid, it looks like, and there's grout in between.
Okay, but we're not reviewing that tonight.
We're not doing that tonight though, right?
Right.
Right,
Exactly.
correct.
Yep. Okay. All right. Okay. Does the board have any exceptions or issues with the sign itself before we get to what we would allow at least temporarily until they come back and propose it on this, on the storefront itself.
I'm safe to say that, because it hasn't been brought up, that the size of what they're proposing meets our sign policy.
Yes, with the width of the building, I believe it does.
Okay.
The two buildings together, yeah.
In terms of overall coverage, the percentage of coverage, there is a limitation for character height that may be considered in this case, as well as what constitutes the signboard area, whether that is in fact the upper portion where the signage is currently mounted, or if it extends down below to the lintels of the transom openings.
Hmm. I don't know how to interpret the sign area. This appears to be all sign area here, but I don't know if there's a precedent for the way it was previously adhered to, or where it was fastened to. And if we as a board have to consider that as a sign area, I don't know. Amy, do you have any opinion about that?
I'm just assuming that when the properties were both rehab in the 90s, then that signboard area where the existing Maria sign was determined to be like in the gray area. What they are proposing, though, and this is, again, I don't know because they haven't provided all the specifications, but I believe they are proposing the thin brick material from the base of the facade up to the lower level. I mean, the second floor.
I think we're getting some feedback. Is everybody on mute that should be on mute? Gracious. Okay, I'm sorry, Amy, do you want to try that again?
Okay, no, I'm checking mine. I think I have
Okay.
everything. So the thin brick that is being proposed will be from the base of the storefront to the flashing area that's right below the second floor windows.
Okay, so right here.
But I do not, of course, have the specifications or a mock-up drawing as of yet.
Mm-hmm.
So then this Maria's sign will be placed on top of that. It has not been expressed to me that they're actually going to make a signboard area within that upper area above the windows. I mean, another thought is, because this sign does have to fit in with the rehab of the front facade, the board wanted to table it until the applicant or the owner can provide all the specifications come before review board for the full rehab of the facade, and then just maybe approve the concept of the sign if they so choose.
I'm in favor of that.
Good Lord.
It's just a
Yeah,
thought.
because
Of course,
they're not gonna install or purchase the sign before they get the, I mean, so they're not gonna install the sign. You don't know about purchasing the sign before they rework the facade.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They did not express to me when they wanted to purchase the sign, but I would think it would be in their best interest to develop the front facade along with the sign. Of course, it's two different contractors, so they'll have to work together somehow, but
Mhm.
I would think it would be in their best interest to have everything reviewed together so that the whole facade can be I'm sorry, my words are failing me.
Yeah, no, yeah, it can be reviewed as, as a whole
Yeah,
application. Yeah,
Yes.
I would not at all disagree with that. I don't know why as the executive committee, we didn't think that through, but,
I'll tell you why. And my thoughts is there has been a big push to get the owner to rehab this facade for obvious reasons. And so I was, of course, and we're all trying to help him. So I'm just trying to get, as much as approved as possible. So I think it would be fair for the board to approve the concept of the sign,
Okay.
but recommend, or however you want to phrase it, that the sign be considered as part of the entire rehab project.
yeah, okay. I like that. But I also think that if that's the way the motion is going to go, that we also need to address
Yes.
the removal of the LED signs and then, the approval of, it's only one frontage, approval of one lit sign. And are there hours of operation on that as well in the door anywhere?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
but
so
that
hard to
could be-
tell what's there.
Right, yes, that can be put in, let me see if I can see. That can certainly be put in the motion.
Mhm, mhm.
I mean, it looks like there's district justice signs. There is, I don't know. Oh, there's a vaccine sign. There's a pizza sign. There's a Coors Light sign. There's a no loitering sign, which they shouldn't need anymore because the planners have been removed. And there's various beer signs.
Okay. I'm sorry, for anybody that is not participating in this application, that would be active board members and anybody else, would you please mute your microphones, please?
And there is a large sign all the way to the right-hand side of the storefront that says no loitering and et cetera too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somewhere over here.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
okay,
exactly.
all right. Okay. Well, I like the direction. If the board is favorable to giving conceptual approval, that would mean that we would be in favor of, if as proposed, an internally illuminated sign. And probably for this area, even though it's not a primary source of light, it may be a consideration just for, just general illumination and safety. And there is a precedence as well for approving internally illuminated signs in this block. So the board could give conceptual approval, and then the motion should also include the violations that we see there relative to all the signage, the LED signs, and then allowance of one lit sign, I guess at the owner's discretion, and one either an hour of operation or one door sign, whatever is most consistent with policy. Is anybody willing to make that motion, or do we still have some more discussion questions?
I'm speaking and there it was. I said, I'll make that motion, Aaron, as you said it. Exactly as you said it. I had my mute on the whole time because I had, I was like,
Okay.
why didn't she say something? It's like, yeah, because I'm on mute.
Amy, are you clear on what I said?
Do you mind repeating it again?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yep. That the board, that this is the motion that Rick would approve, that the board would approve conceptual approval of of the sign as proposed, which includes internal illumination, but that we would want to see the final signage when the full building proposal is reviewed, meaning the facade approval, the facade work. And then also removal of all the LED lights in all the windows, removal of all the signage with the exception of one illuminated sign that can be an open sign, or I suppose one of the advertising signs that's there. It's hard for me to see exactly what it is.
So removal of all of the signs except for one.
And then and hours of operation.
Okay.
I have to look, I'm sorry, I have to look at what the policy states. I don't have it in front of me.
I believe allows me to approve an hours of operation sign and an open sign, hours of operation and or open sign,
Okay,
and a sandwich board sign. But
What
yeah, I
about-
mean, you can, it can be stated that they can have one open sign, if you so wish.
what about the lighted sign?
Do you mean like all of the beer signs?
Only one, like, can we allow one lighted sign
Sure, sure.
now? Okay, all right. Mhm.
Of their choose, so they can have one beer sign, let's say, of their choosing.
Mhm.
Okay, one. Okay, so approving the concept of the proposed internally illuminated sign, but it is to be reviewed with the entire facade rehabilitation project as a whole
Mhm.
to determine its placement, et cetera.
Mhm.
And then the board requires the removal of all of the LED lighting in all of the windows and the removal of all signage except for one illuminated sign of the owner's choosing and the hours of operation.
Correct.
Okay.
And Rick, are you okay with that
Yes, I am.
wording? Okay. All right. Is there a second on that motion?
So just to clarify, this is not approval for them to proceed with the signage. They still have to come back to obtain final approval.
That was my
Yeah.
intent. Is that your intent, Rick?
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
okay.
I can state that too in there.
Yeah. Like we're tabling approval of the installation of the sign. We're only approving conceptual design of the sign.
Must return for final approval of the sign.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a question. Does this proposal also include the removal of existing gooseneck lighting?
That was not discussed as part of this project. I don't know what the owner's plans are for that. But that might be the discussion for the entire facade rehab.
I'll second, given the parameters that it needs to be revised and resubmitted, I would second the motion.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Booth. Okay. All right. I'll call for a vote. Mr. Booth.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Politica.
Yes.
All right. And Ms. Walker.
Yes.
All right. Great. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right. So we are going to move on to 625 Pine Street, and I think we have our interpreter with us, appears to be. And so Amy, if you want to read the property summary, and then I'll pull up the application.
Okay.
Hi,
Hello.
Hi.
how are you?
Good. I don't know. Do we want to have Benny introduce herself to the applicant first and then have me read, or whatever anyone feels comfortable with?
Sure, that would be fine. Are you able to do that, Benny?
Yeah, sure. Are they on?
I'm sorry?
They're on the line.
Yes, they're on the line. Their names are Florencia Perez and Alejandro Beltran.
Okay. Buenas tardes a las personas que son los miembros de esa solicitud, apellido Pérez y Beltrán. Yo voy a ser su intérprete durante esta audiencia.
Ok, muchas gracias.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I will read the property summary. This is for 625 Pine Street. This two-story corner building built in the federal style received a site quality index rating of 68 and is a contributing building in the Prince Historic District. And just let me know, Benny, if I'm going too fast or if you want me to break it up more.
Este es el edificio que está en el 625 de la Pine. Es un edificio de 2 pisos. Está construido en un estilo federal y tiene una calificación de 68% y contribuye mucho al distrito histórico.
The
Oh,
build, the building features a painted brick facade, but its historical integrity has been compromised with the replacement.
El edificio tiene la parte de afuera del edificio está construida basada en ladrillos, pero desafortunadamente se ha comprometido el valor histórico que tiene por los cambios que se le han hecho.
With the replacement of windows, the front entrance door,
Con el reemplazo de ventanas, la puerta de entrada del frente,
the original wood cornice,
la cornisa de madera original,
and with the application of siding to the rear one-story frame structure.
y también que se le puso una aplicación de vinilo o revestimiento de vinilo en la parte de atrás, que es una estructura de solamente un piso.
And I'm going to read the Secretary of the Interior standards again so that the applicants can understand them. But the Secretary of the Interior standards that apply to this project are number 2.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Voy a leer el estándar de este que aplica este edificio y es la número 2.
And it reads, the historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved.
Y dice, el valor histórico de la propiedad debe de ser retenido y protegido.
The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces
Al remover partes que son consideradas históricas o cambiar cómo se ve en la propiedad,
that characterize a property shall be avoided.
que le dan el carácter a la propiedad, deben de ser evitadas.
Standard number 5
El
is
estándar número 5.
sorry,
No, I'm sorry.
distinctive features, finishes, and construction techniques.
One second.
That's okay.
Cuando tiene partes que son distintivas, acabados. What was the last portion that you said?
Construction techniques
O técnicas de construcción.
or examples of craftsmanship
O cuando tiene ejemplo de la construcción que son hechas por constructores maestros.
that characterize a historic property shall be preserved.
Que tienen las características de una propiedad histórica deben de ser preservados.
And number 6, and I apologize, this is a long one.
Y la número, me disculpo porque esta es una larga.
Deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced.
Cuando la propiedad tiene alguna faceta que ha sido deteriorada, en vez de reemplazar, en vez de cambiarse, debe de ser reemplazada.
Where the severity of deterioration
Cuando la severidad del deterioro
requires replacement of a distinctive feature,
requiere que se reemplace algo que sea muy distintivo,
the new feature shall match the old in design,
la nueva debe de hacerle mancuerna a la vieja y tiene en diseño,
color,
color,
texture,
textura
and other visual qualities,
y otras calidades que son visuales.
and where possible, materials.
Y cuando es posible, también los materiales.
Replacement of missing features
Al reemplazar estas partes que son consideradas, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
That's okay. Replacement of missing features
Cuando están reemplazando características que son, que hacen falta,
shall be substantiated by documentary,
es algo que debe de ser sustanciado con documentos o documentación
physical or pictorial evidence through
Y con-
photos.
que sea física o con fotos.
And tonight we are reviewing the proposal, and it is, they are in violation of these items, but we are reviewing the proposal for the installation of an aluminum awning.
Estamos repasando, están fraccionando esa ordenanza porque estamos repasando la propuesta de poner un tordo de aluminio.
A security door at the first floor front facade.
Una puerta de seguridad que está en la parte del frente, en la parte de enfrente de la propiedad.
And the installation of vinyl siding at the eastern facade.
Y la instalación del revestimiento de vinilo que está en la parte este de el revestimiento.
Of a rear one-story addition.
De la adición que está en la parte de atrás de la propiedad.
And I would like to note that the rear one-story addition, and this is shown in your photographs, did have asphalt siding on it originally. I mean, not originally, but previously.
Y la parte de atrás que tiene el vinilo, el revestimiento de vinilo, que es un solo piso, anteriormente lo que tenía era un revestimiento de asfalto.
And that is all I have for my part.
Y eso es lo que tengo de mi parte.
Ok, pero la parte que se cubrió con el vinílico, eso tenía 70 años y era de cartón. Estaba todo destruido el cartón.
Un momento, por favor. The part that's covered with vinyl was 70 years old and was made out of cardboard, and it was completely destroyed.
And does he have any addition? Does he have anything, any other comments?
¿Tiene algún otro comentario?
No, y la puerta de seguridad se puso porque esta es un área histórica, pero no es un área segura por los asaltos y las entraderas que hay en las casas. Por eso se puso, nosotros somos 2 personas ya de edad, es para seguridad nuestra, porque ni siquiera la policía pasa por acá, por más histórica que sea la ciudad, el vecindario.
Okay. The security door was installed because even though this area is historical, it's not necessarily safe. There have been assaults and break-ins, and we are 2 elderly people, and we installed it because for our safety. Unfortunately, even the police doesn't come out around here, even though the area is considered historic.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Does the board have any questions? We can kind of break things down by, elements. We know that the metal awning is not approvable. Typically, we would suggest like a canvas material.
Question for Ms. Johnson. Do you have any photos of original doors on this block?
Not prepared to show you, no. I apologize. I have taken photos in the block previously, but I'd have to get them for you. And I don't recall offhand what they look like. There's a large variation of doors in this block there that I can recall. There is has been a lot of various improvements made to the properties over the years. And there's varying not styles of buildings, but like they're varying heights. It's not like a row where they would have had all the same door or anything.
Does the board have any exceptions to the vinyl siding that was installed and previous was looked like an asphalt type of siding? I know that the past that the board has approved that sort of installation.
Yes, in the past, the board has approved the replacement of asphalt, like shingled siding with vinyl siding. So there is precedent for that.
Mhm.
And the paint color, as I indicated in your packets of information, I have approved another color for the property to be repainted.
Would you like me to recap that for him?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Señor, anteriormente la Junta sí le ha otorgado el permiso a algunas propiedades en el área para que se pueda reemplazar el asfalto por el vinilo. También se solicita que hay un color de pintura que sea aprobado para poder, para que la propiedad sea pintada nuevamente.
Sí, ya yo lo tengo eso. Yo estuve ayer hablando con la persona que está en la oficina de histórica y ella nos aprobó el color para repintar de vuelta a la propiedad.
Yes, I'm already on that. I spoke to the person at the office yesterday and we are in agreement. The color was selected so that it can be repainted.
Does the board have any additional questions or points for discussion?
One thought on the door is I understand the need for additional security, and my question for the applicant would be, would they be willing to consider a door without glass and utilizing the existing transom as the glass area for allowing natural daylight?
Una de las preguntas que tengo para el solicitante es sobre la puerta. Nosotros entendemos que a veces es necesario la seguridad adicional, pero considerarían una puerta sin vidrio y usar el transom para que aparece ahí para la luz natural.
Bueno, pero la casa fue comprada con la puerta que tiene. Nosotros lo que agregamos fue nada más una puerta de fierro con 2 vidrios y un mosquitero que está puesta, pero la puerta original que se compró hace 10 años la casa sigue siendo la misma.
The door that is there right now is the door that we purchased the property with. We only added the screen for the mosquitoes and but it's the same that was purchased when it was purchased 10 years ago.
So I'm sorry, Ms. Johnson, can you please clarify, are we reviewing the existing door in this present application?
No, only the security door, because the security door was installed, I don't know when, I think by the owner. The previous pictures that are part of this application show it without a security door. The application is not, I wasn't addressing the existing door. There you go. And that picture's from 2014, so I don't know when that door was installed, but you are correct, there is a transom over the door.
And so do we have photos of the security door that's being proposed?
Oh, it's already there, Aaron. It's hard to see because it's open. Do you see
Yes.
it? I don't think do we have any photos, Amy, of it closed?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Take a close-up photo, I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. That's the best
And
photo.
I also wanted to know, and if Benny can relay this to the property owner, the zoning administrator's comments are on this property are that the awning may require a zoning permit if it is approved.
Una pregunta que quería informarle. Nos han informado de la Junta de Zonas que el tordo necesita un permiso un permiso. Usted si es aprobado.
Ok, tengo que presentar un permiso por el toldo para ver si puede ser aprobado.
So I need to submit an application for a permit for the awning in case it is approved.
If it is approved, then I can we can work with zoning and to explain that process further. It first has to be approved by this board, but the zoning administrator stated that they may need a zoning permit if it is approved.
Okay. Tiene que ser aprobado aquí primero, pero es posible que sea necesario obtener un permiso de zoning para que pueda ser aprobado.
Ok, tendría que ir al City Hall a pedir la aplicación para solicitar el permiso para el toldo.
So do I need to go to zoning to obtain the permit for the awning?
Yeah, if it is approved, yes.
Si lo aprobamos aquí, sí.
Ok, entonces tengo que ir primero al City a presentar la aplicación para que ellos me lo aprueben o no.
Do I need to go to the city and submit an application so that it can be approved or not?
Well, the Historic Review Board has to approve it first. If they approve the awning, then he will have to come in and get the zoning permit.
No, señor, le estamos diciendo que aquí, esta junta con la cual usted está reunida en este momento, tiene que aprobarlo primero.
Ah, ok, perfecto, está bien.
Entonces, luego sí puede solicitar.
Hágame un favor, mi pregunta podría ser, ¿quieren que pinte la parte del vinílico del mismo color de la casa para que todo sea un solo color, para que no sea el plástico color gris? Así sería del mismo color de las paredes que están aprobadas.
Is it possible to paint the entire house and the vinyl the same color?
Yeah, he can talk to me separately about that.
Eso lo podemos hablar por separado.
The board has to approve the vinyl siding as well.
Y la junta tiene que aprobar el revestimiento de vinilo también.
Perdón, ¿cuánto tiempo voy a recibir la aprobación o no la aprobación? ¿Cuánto tiempo más van a mandarme a mí la aprobación o no?
How long will the approval take before I receive the approval?
Within 2 to 3 weeks from the Historic Review Board.
Como en 2 o 3 semanas después de que la junta haga sus revisiones.
Okay, muchas gracias.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Go ahead, Amy.
I would say while I have a certified interpreter, I just want them to understand this. The other comment from the zoning administrator is that the fence, of which I've also approved, has to get a zoning permit too. If you can just tell him that.
Lo otro que quería que usted también entendiera es que la verja también necesita un permiso de la Junta de Zonas.
¿Qué verja?
Which fence?
The fence in their backyard. The one,
la parte de atrás, el patio.
Pero eso estaba así, eso fue comprado de esa forma. La foto que tiene el City Hall tiene toda la fensa de madera alrededor.
it was that way when we purchased it. The information that they have at City Hall has all of that wooden fence.
Okay, the zoning administrator told me that they don't have an application on file, but I can discuss that with him later. I just wanted him to know that.
Eso lo vamos a discutir después, pero ellos no existe el permiso de cuando se puso esa verja.
Sí, pero la casa fue comprada así hace 10 años.
Yeah, we
Tenía
purchased
la,
it.
tenía,
Okay, I can meet with him in the office again and we can discuss.
Okay, nos vamos a entrevistar nuevamente en la oficina y podemos hablar esto.
Ok, perfecto. ¿Qué día podría ir yo a la oficina o mi señora en todo caso?
What day can I go into the office and perhaps my wife if necessary?
I will call him tomorrow.
Yo le voy a llamar mañana.
Ok, muchísimas gracias.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to get the discussion just back to the board relative to the violations that we've seen. The metal awning, which typically is not approvable by the board. The security door, again, is not. And then if the board is agreeable to the installation of the vinyl siding where asphalt siding was. Does the board have any exceptions to those, to the violations that are shown and the installation of the vinyl siding? Any exceptions or issues or questions about those?
I would note exception to the awning and the security door, which the security door was not visible to me. I had to zoom in pretty
Okay.
far to actually
Yeah.
see that.
Okay, sorry.
But I guess my question would still stand if the door were a solid raised panel door with a transom light, as it would have been historically, that may serve the same purpose in terms of providing security.
Yep.
Or bolstering the security of the existing door from the interior, in which case it wouldn't be visible.
Mm-hmm.
I have no exception to the vinyl siding.
Okay. Well, I mean, technically the door is not historically appropriate, even though it isn't on the application. It can certainly be rolled into the motion as a as part of what the board would like to see for the door, addressing the removal of the security door, and then perhaps the installation of flat panel door or raised panel door, metal doors, which we've approved in the past, and opening up that transom window. So if if you're in favor of that, Mr. Booth, would you be willing to make a motion accordingly? Or
yes, I'm only suggesting that as a possibility because I don't know that the board can approve the security door. It does seem to have been installed for the purpose of serving as a screen door or a storm door, which in that case we have other precedents and characteristics that we've approved in the past. So yes, I would make a motion as stated previously.
okay.
Can the interpreter ask or explain that to the property owner if they would be open to that idea, if that's appropriate?
I just want to make sure that I understand. Let's see, am I muted? Okay. I just want to make sure that I understand correctly. What you're saying is that the awning needs to be removed. The security door also, the one that's on the outside. And if there needs to be improvements, it can be done from the inside so that it doesn't affect the way it looks on the outside. Is that correct?
Correct. It would be a denial of the awning and the security door,
Okay.
and for approval of the vinyl siding.
Okay. Señor, básicamente lo que ha sucedido es lo siguiente. El tordo hay que quitarlo porque no cumple con los requisitos necesarios para la zona histórica. La puerta de seguridad también necesita ser removida. Hay otras opciones que están disponibles y que esas son cosas que usted puede discutir con la señorita Amy en su momento. También pero el vinilo, eso va a ser aprobado.
Ok. ¿Tengo que esperar que me lo aprueben o cuántos días tengo para sacarlo? Y si lo saco y lo aprueban, lo puedo poner de vuelta.
Do I need to wait until it's approved, or if I remove it and then it's approved, then do I have to put it back on?
No, with the Amy will make clear to the applicant what the decision was by the board. And she'll
Okay.
make that very clear. We don't want him to be confused or concerned about what the next steps are. We'll make that clear.
Señor, nosotros no queremos que usted confundido con los pasos a seguir. Amy se va a entrevistar con usted y ella le va a explicar todo lo que usted necesita hacer
Ok, en el City.
at City.
Yes.
Sí,
Ok, está bien.
that's
Okay,
fine.
thank you.
Gracias.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Booth, that was a motion, is that correct?
That's correct. The only thing that I guess would be a question for Ms. Johnson, does this need to include the relocation of the satellite dish?
On the, that's on the front.
Yes.
The board, yes, the board can mandate that as well. The only thing that would need to be determined is if the signal would be obtainable on the rear of the building, but there is another satellite dish. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't notice that.
So I would amend the motion to include the relocation of the satellite dish away from the primary elevation to somewhere conducive on the rear of the property.
Mhm. Okay, thanks for that. I think, Amy, I think you were going to check, but with all the things that were going on prior to the meeting,
Yeah.
it didn't sound like you had the
Yes.
opportunity. That's fine. But yeah, thank you for that reminder, Mr. Booth, that we should have addressed that as well. So, okay, so that's the motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I second that motion.
Okay, very good. Thank
And-
you. Did you want to say something, Amy?
I would say, can we have the interpreter explain the motion about the satellite dish on the front roof?
Sure. Señor, también ese satélite que está en la parte de atrás, que es muy visible desde la calle, necesita ser movido a un lugar donde no sea tan visible. Esa también fue una de las mociones que fueron otorgadas en este momento.
¿Cuál? ¿Qué es lo que tengo atrás?
What is it that I have in the back?
There's a satellite dish in the back, but there's also one in the front of the property.
El satélite, señor. Hay uno en la parte de atrás y hay uno en la parte del frente.
On the front roof there, yeah. Is
Aquí.
that one still in use?
Ese satélite que está en la parte de arriba de la casa, ¿usted todavía lo está usando?
Nosotros tenemos una sola antena de televisión.
We just have one antenna for our TV.
Is that the one on the rear?
Ese es el que está en la parte de atrás.
Perdón, deme un minuto. ¿Cómo?
Wait one moment.
Es el que se está usando. El que se está usando es el que está en la parte trasera.
The one
No
that's being
tenemos
used,
otro nosotros.
Say it again.
the one that's being used is the one that's in the back.
Okay, then the board is requiring that the one in the front be removed.
Entonces la Junta está solicitando que la del frente necesita ser removida.
¿Para dónde la vamos?
Bueno, ok, está bien.
Dile que no,
Ok.
que qué lado quiere que la pongamos.
Atrás.
Pero es atrás que está.
Hay una en el
Ok,
frente.
está bien. Hay una en el frente. No sé, yo no tengo visto una en el frente.
I wasn't aware that there was one in the front.
Bueno, ok, no se haga problema. Del frente la movemos, no hay problema. Porque
Es
yo
no
creo que esta no está conectada.
The one in the front, we will remove it. It's not a problem. I don't think it's connected.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Muchas
okay,
gracias.
I have to call for a
Una
vote now.
Perdón, una pregunta, intérprete. ¿Ellos me van a llamar o yo tengo que ir mañana al City Hall a hablar con la persona que está ahí?
I have a question. I want to know if you're going to call me or if I have to go to City Hall tomorrow to speak to the person that's there.
No, I will call and I just don't have my schedule right now. I will call and see what time I'm available and I can explain with an interpreter in City Hall.
No, señor, nosotros nos vamos a comunicar con usted. Lo que pasa es que no tengo mi itinerario conmigo en este momento, pero en cuanto yo lo tenga, yo me voy a comunicar con usted y usted puede venir a nuestras oficinas y podemos entrevistarnos con un intérprete.
Ok, perfecto, muchas gracias.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
De
Thank
nada.
you. Okay. Okay, I need to call for a vote now. Okay, so Mr. Booth made the motion, Mr. Politica seconded the motion, so I'm going to call for a vote now. So Mr. Booth,
Yes.
okay, Mr. Politica,
Yes.
okay, and Ms. Walker.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So Amy will explain, she will, based on what you said, Amy, you'll call the applicant, get in touch with the applicant, and she will explain everything that the board voted on tonight with an interpreter to make sure that the applicant is very clear what his next steps are. And so I think you made that clear to him. So I think we're finished with this application.
Okay, señor, Amy se va a comunicar con usted y se va a entrevistar con usted para explicarle todo la decisión que tomó la Junta aquí el día de hoy. Así que esté pendiente que se van a comunicar con usted y eso es todo por hoy.
Ok, ¿tengo que esperar las 3 semanas que terminen de deliberar o no?
Do I have to wait the 3 weeks for you to deliberate or no?
No,
No.
no, I will explain when I call to set up an appointment and have him come in and explain.
Cuando yo tenga, cuando lo llame para programar la cita, yo le voy a explicar todo.
Ok, muchas gracias entonces.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice evening.
Que pase muy buena tarde, señor. Buenas noches.
Ustedes también, gracias por la interpretación.
He's thanking the interpreter. Es un placer, señor. Hasta luego.
Okay, good night. Thank you.
Very welcome.
Okay, thanks for your help. Okay,
That's my.
okay.
May I be excused?
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
you may be excused.
All right. Right, thank you.
Have a great evening. Thanks for all your help.
My pleasure.
All right, bye-bye. Always reminds me of school. Can I be excused? Is this worse than school? I don't know. It is.
No comment.
I know. It's like grown-up school.
Right.
All right, okay. Okay, all right. So why don't we get through the next application, just maybe take just a very brief break after we get through 1920 16th Street, and then we can proceed with the last two. It's been a long night so far, but I know we've got a sizable application with the enclosure and the addition at 1920 North 16th. So if you want to, I think Mr. Marabella is with us, and is your contractor with us as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Brad.
All right. Okay. Very good. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So, hello.
Hi.
Okay. Ms. Johnson, you can go ahead and read the property summary.
Okay. This two-story minimal traditional modern home features a brick facade with a side gable roof, a bay window with a copper seamed roof at the first floor front facade, and a covered breezeway connected to a detached one-story garage. The structure received a composite index rating of 72 and is a contributing building in the Heights Conservation District. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the enclosure of the existing breezeway between the main house and the detached one-car garage, and the construction of a second-story addition above the breezeway in the garage. And the Secretary of the Interior standards that apply to this project are standards number 2 and 5, of which I read earlier, and standard number 9, which reads, new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. And number 10, new additions and adjacent or related new construction shall be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be unimpaired.
Okay, thank you. So the applicant or the contractor is welcome to spend a few minutes walking us through this
Sure.
proposal.
Thank you. I appreciate the time and I appreciate Amy's efforts in getting us on the agenda. Thank you, Amy, for that. I appreciate that a lot. And I know Brad does. I just wanted to share real briefly. I've lived in this house. I grew up in this house. Almost, I guess, a little more than half my life I've lived in Reading. And I came back 2 years ago to help take care of my folks, Sam and Anna. And decided mom passed and dad passed just recently. So I decided I'd love to stay. As you can imagine, I need to create a little different memories, but I want to keep the old ones too. So all through the process of developing this design from my head to Brad's pen and paper, who did a great job, is really how can I sustain the integrity of the property and yet still expand it, make a little bit more of an open plan. For example, I've been handling all of my dad's stuff for the last 5 or 6 years, and that tornado we had a couple years ago, the insurance, of course, didn't want to cover the copper spouting that was ruined, and they fought me on that, and I won because I said that's what this house deserves. But it's my dad built the house. My grandfather put the electric in the house, so I really have an appreciation for the property, and they did. The insurance came up with the money and did the right thing because that's what they were supposed to do. So my intent is, you'll see the brick. I'm trying to pop the brick color with some of the new siding. Wherever possible, we're keeping the brick. And when the roof is extended obviously over the garage, we'll need to do siding. But I'd like that color to kind of pull out the lighter brown that you saw in the materials that Brad shared with you. And again, just trying to add some more space, interior space for me, without really affecting too much the footprint. So that's just where this is all coming from. I'm really trying to. I'm keeping the exposed brick in the interior of the new space as much as we can. We're reusing things, repurposing doors as much as we can. So that's just my little introduction, and I welcome Brad to add anything or answer any of the real questions that you might have.
And I'm just trying to pull up the renderings on the front of the house. So just give me a minute, but keep talking. It's all right. I just want to bring that up.
Sure.
So we can take a look at that, but you can continue to walk through if you have some additional information you want to present.
I like the fact that I can, I guess you're more concerned with the external, right? Mostly the external.
Yeah, the exterior. Yep.
Yeah, exterior.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
And what's visible from like the public right of way, which would be the front of your house.
Right.
I think you're landlocked in the back. Are you not?
Neighbors behind us.
Yeah, meaning like there's no alley or public access
Correct.
behind your house. Yep.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Amy, do you know what time you sent that?
The
The new renderings. I have something at this morning or Monday, 7:51 p.m., but I don't know if that's it. Hold on. There's just like a lot of product specs.
I could resend that.
Oh, no, it's okay. We have it.
It was yesterday, last night at 7:51 p.m. was the last one I sent.
Okay, I think I have one here.
There was one at 7:29 p.m.
Yep, that's the one that I have. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I think
Yes.
that's what we're looking at then. Okay, all right. Okay, so the prior was basically a detached garage with a breezeway. And then you're raising it to like a second story, putting in a large dormer and enclosing the whole breezeway and kind of absorbing the garage.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And
All right.
and what we did was we raised that roof a little bit to,
Mm-hmm.
you
Here,
know, not to give it a little visual break, and put that pent roof across the front to also, you know,
Right
break
here.
it up. So it just
Yep.
didn't look like the dormer was going straight up
okay,
from the garage.
sure.
Just to try to blend it a little bit,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because it's kind of long.
Yeah, that would be kind of a long run of kind of one plane or one horizon. So, yep.
It also facilitated a loft that he put up between the two spaces between the attic. There's two rooms up in the sort of Cape Cod like, but not really Cape
Oh,
Cod,
okay, yep.
up in
Mhm.
the attic. And so there's an actual open bridge between the new master bedroom and those two spaces on the left. The
Okay.
room on the left that's accessed by an internal stair.
Mm-hmm.
And he also put a rear stair in the back to privately serve the master bedroom.
Okay, and then the material here is a, I'm sorry, there are so many attachments, so I apologize if you're repeating yourself, but just a vinyl siding.
Yes.
Okay.
One of the last item I sent to Amy is a 4-sheet PDF that I tried to simulate the actual siding that Santo had picked. Unfortunately, my program didn't have the one that he really likes. That's kind of hard to get right now. That was Natural Blend, I believe it was. It's sort
Yes.
of a variegated wood looking. They say it looks really good in person. I have not seen it in person. It would be lighter than the one rendering, that set of 4 renderings, and you don't have that there. What you have there is, I believe, my original permit submittal.
Aaron, if you go into the one I sent at 7:51 p.m., there is a document labeled renderings. And it'll show all of the details. He's kind of mocked them all up on the building facades.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, sorry, yep.
And that
Okay.
has the samples, and it sort of, it shows the brick
Mhm.
at a close up, because
Yep.
my brick doesn't mimic his brick. I mean, it's brick, but it's not as variegated as his with all the colors.
Okay,
The siding that I used there was actually not the Natural Blend. It was the Mountain Cedar, which is a solid color that was sort of picked by somebody to, go along with the idea of what he was trying to get,
okay,
with the wood.
okay. All right, well, I'm going to open it up to the board for comments and questions for the applicant relative to, we don't, the district is, well, it's the newest district. I think it's been in Conservation District since 2012, I believe. And so we're still kind of developing, so to speak, some, just the more applications that we see, that the better idea we can have on really, what's appropriate. So we're just trying to interpret our
Sure.
standards as best we can. So I'll leave it up to the board to ask some questions and drive some more discussion.
May I say one more thing before you start?
Of course.
The siding that Santo picked, and there's a sample of that, I believe, in one of those. It must have been one of the other ones that I gave to Amy.
Yes. Aaron, in that same
Email.
email,
Mhm.
there is a picture that says IMG. It's shown in that picture.
Okay. Right there.
Yes, the color.
Okay.
That's the natural blend that he prefers. As you can see, it's a lot lighter than what my rendition shows.
Okay.
I did not have that particular
Okay.
texture in my program, but
Okay.
that's what he really wants.
I tried, to pull out colors from the actual brick. I guess these are old Glengarry brick. And I like that. I think that matches fairly well with the lighter blonde, if you saw in that brick in the other rendering.
Mm-hmm.
But something close to that. If we can't get that, then, something close.
Yep. Okay.
And then the other aspect is any new gutters and downspouts will either be repurposing of the existing half round copper gutters with the corrugated round downspouts, or new to match the existing. So, just kind of keeping that going for the house.
And as also, as you see the windows that Brad put in, we're going to try to do we're matching I don't know what they're called, but we're matching the horizontal panes so that's consistent with the rest of the house.
Like the 202. Yeah.
The existing house has that 2/2, just the horizontal mullions.
Mm-hmm.
So we put that in all the new windows except for the rear patio door, because it just didn't work for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So I'll open up to the board for some questions or feedback on the proposal.
When was this home actually built?
1953.
53.
It was the first house. It was all woods around it. I remember seeing a picture. I wasn't around, but I do remember seeing a picture.
And I think most of a good number of the houses in the block, that block was mostly built. I think the houses in the 50s and 60s.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's a couple of kind of the Cape style house. And I think there might be maybe some split levels or something, and some ranchers in that block too.
Yeah. There's a next door, there's a ranch. That was built in 69 or 68.
Okay. So that just gives the board a little context as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It ain't. It really ain't.
Any feedback from does the board believe that the addition in terms of our standards, even though there aren't really design standards per se, with the Secretary of Interior standards for new additions, is there any exception or any areas of concern that we would want to address with the applicants? Material, scale, size, infill? I promise we're chattier than this, but.
One thing I'll mention is the vinyl siding selection. If the board were to consider vinyl siding in this case, I think the HARB generally would not approve a material that's trying to mimic or look like another material. So typically when vinyl siding is approved, it's the smooth vinyl siding that's intended to look like painted wood, or that you wouldn't be able to distinguish easily that it's not painted wood. But trying to look like natural wood, I think in most cases it's pretty obvious because of the corner details and various other aspects about vinyl that it's not natural wood. So that's generally discouraged, and even the wood grain embossment. Certainly, aluminum siding, which is what you have now, I think would be an appropriate choice. Perhaps a smooth vinyl siding. The board has also approved cementitious siding in the past. So those might be some options. I would say generally the concept of an addition, I mean, I think historic buildings need to be adaptable, and I think this one can be. It does tend to be, the massing tends to be a little heavy on the right side of that front elevation. And I'm not sure, I know the roof line is probably trying as hard as it can to be as inobtrusive as it can be, and still obtaining as much square footage as you can on the second floor. So I'm not sure if there's anything that can be done to improve that. But the other thing that I'll throw out is that I like that you're keeping the brick on the first floor around the original garage. On the side elevation, I think it tends to read nicely as a water table in that it almost extends all the way to the back. On the front elevation, it's a little unusual. I mean, it very clearly shows that this is an addition and it's surrounding what used to be a garage. I think that could be made less obvious by taking that brick all the way over to the existing house, and maybe bringing the vinyl siding down all the way to the top of the garage lintel and the window heads. We'd have to see that to kind of gauge what that looks like, but that would be one idea to maybe tie it together a little bit better. But otherwise, I think it's a great start. I also would say that the colors that are shown on the not the 3D model, but the elevation drawings, I think the contrast works a little better, and that the color in the 3D model tends to get lost in the brick and the roof color.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Of course.
Okay. So and again, I'm ignorant about all of this stuff, so I'm learning a lot as we're talking and as I'm listening. My first question is why the D4 clapboard is from what I've learned, which is that style of siding is supposed to mimic wood, natural wood, which was what was there. Why wouldn't, I mean, I guess you're saying that the colors look fake or that they're not real blend, but I would think that you'd want it to look more like wood. I mean, that's what I was going for, to keep it in the integrity of the existing structure. That's one comment. The other comment is that the brick, to extend that brick across, there's not going to be, it is going to be even more obvious that it's an addition when you try to extend that brick, if we try to buy that brick in 2021 compared to 1953. I can't imagine. I know it's a pretty standard brick. And I'm not, my other question was, what do you mean by the right side is heavy roof?
So I'll respond to your last question and work backwards. So the massing comment relates to just the overall scale of the volumes that are being created. And the volumes on the addition are a little bit larger than the volume of the existing residence. So that tends to, in some ways, outscale the existing residence. I think it can certainly be done. It's just, it requires sensitivity. And I would not say that this is insensitive, because I think, again, I think you've tried to work pretty hard with the roof lines to keep that mass as small as you can. And I know you've got some ceiling clearances to deal with on the interior. But on the brick, yes, you're right. Matching the existing brick is a challenge. That is probably, it's easier to try to match existing brick with a compatible brick. You're never going to have an exact match unless you start getting into staining and really sensitive restoration. And the easiest way to find a compatible brick and mix it with existing brick is to offset the two planes from one another. So if there's a way to do that, it might work a little bit better. Otherwise, you could play with the vinyl siding height, perhaps try to differentiate it that way. I think I'm reacting to it. It does look like the vinyl siding is kind of engulfing what used to be the garage and the garage door. And then on the vinyl siding, so historically, a natural wood siding would not have been used. Historical wood siding was typically painted, sometimes stained, but generally not natural wood. So that's why vinyl sidings that tend to have more of an appearance of or are less able to be differentiated from painted wood are generally preferred. And even at that, it's pretty clear as soon as you see the corner conditions that it is vinyl. I actually, in this case, because the style of this house is minimal traditional, which I think is a really cool modern style, it could be, that style could be continued with an aluminum siding, which would be perfect for that style. But that's not the only material that the board has approved in the past.
Yeah, so if I'm understanding, it's not as much the color as the kind of the textured look of the siding that you're concerned about?
Correct. In fact, the color oftentimes is deferred to a staff level approval. And typically it's a solid color.
I'm not really, I'm a little concerned about moving to an aluminum when I know that the vinyl is far more maintenance free and less, and while it's more expensive too, but I'd rather have it being more enduring.
I don't know about maintenance free. I think with vinyl, you're probably going to get maybe a 20 to 30 year lifespan. And I think with an aluminum siding, you can probably get, with a Kynar finish, you could probably get a 25-year warranty on aluminum siding. So I think the duration, the lifespan of the materials are about the same. Probably going to spend a little bit more for aluminum, but in terms of the look and the authenticity of it, it's certainly something to consider.
Thank you for responding.
So Nigel or Rick, do you have any comments or questions for the applicant?
I do not.
Okay.
I don't either, no.
Okay.
Could you scroll around the house a little bit to the other 4 pictures? Just trying to. I mean, I don't think we would want a contrasting corner trim because that's not really the style of the house either, right? Actually, we do, the shadow line kind of hides it there. Could we go to the original drawing pictures where I had intimated like a beige or a gray siding with a black roof? Because really, I mean,
it says Marabella permit submittal, Aaron.
That would have been the first one you had up.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And you can scroll through that a little bit to the elevations too. You keep going, you're in existing conditions there, what we're taking away. That's the plans, and then you'll get to the elevations here in a second. There you go. Go back to the front elevation. There you can kind of see how the siding, because the brick ends there, that's actually where the roof line was. The siding wrapping around the front sort of helps it a little bit, that the siding blends over to the header of the brick, and then it goes up so that it's below the roof. You kind of lose that with my shadows and my rendering. Well, there, and actually in that one, it looks like I have some contrasting corners, which you wouldn't necessarily have.
Mhm.
Typically, you don't contrast your corners with aluminum siding. They usually just have that flat piece of aluminum corner, just kind of like you do with vinyl. Sometimes you can get nicer corners that don't, you know, for instance, if I was going to use that natural blend siding on a house, I'd probably have like a white corner for it to die behind, so that it looked more like it was going into a real wood corner, and get that effect. Because I certainly don't think, you know, a vertical grained plastic synthetic wood would look that good either, on the corners. So, but then again, you get a whole different look when you contrast your corners. So you might be getting away from. I understand what he was saying about the aluminum siding. Would it help if it was a you know, like a 5 or a 6 inch or wider? Because a lot of times aluminum siding goes to like 8 inches.
Mhm.
Yes.
Is that something? You know, I can't remember how tall you can go with your. I think you can go to a single 7 or a single 8 with the vinyl these days, but I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember.
Wolverine used to make an 8-inch, and I don't think it's even called Wolverine anymore. That was purchased. That name was purchased by another company, but it may still be out there. It may be a 7-inch now. I don't know.
Yeah, we would have to look into that. And that, of course, we would have to, Santo would have to like the aesthetic of, you know, it's kind of important for the homeowner to like the aesthetic of what he's doing. So, I mean, do you think the elevation looks better, you know, when you see it in this sort of a light? And I understand, I wrestled with the massing being over on the right side, but that's the area that he had the opportunity to, you know, take the small roof off and put a full depth second floor on there. The out to out on that master suite is only 12 feet, so it's not a, you know, it goes long and deep, and you know, he has a bedroom in the front and then a bathroom towards the rear, and then there's actually a rear set of steps that goes down the back. Yeah, had made attempts to lower that, you know, that front. I can't, no. At one point I had considered going to like a 7-foot wall height to get it down a little bit, and then just clip the ceiling. So, you know, clip a little bit of the ceiling until it hit 8 feet, and you still don't bang your head on it, and you have you still get the width of the room. Sometimes that sort of a massing helps. In this instance, I wanted because of the raised peak on that left side piece of the addition, I wanted to make sure I didn't peekaboo above the dormer roof. So that's why I believe the dormer is at 8 feet. And it gives him a little headroom in the bridge that goes between the master and the rooms upstairs.
I think it's the right move to offset the new roof line from the existing. I think if you were to try to bring it down, you'd almost want it to be lower than the existing roof height, so that even tweaking the wall height down 7 feet, you may not be able to get low enough to achieve that. And probably if you try to line them up, I don't know if that's a better solution than what you have.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want them aligned either. I may have started that way, but I gravitated towards what I did to try to, break away from what was getting a little funny looking. So I kind of go along with Santo on the fact that I don't know that I don't usually like to take, wherever you have the opportunity, or not the opportunity, but where you don't have the luxury of having the same materials go together, then I usually like to try to make it obvious that they're different. Many times with brick, I would use a stucco or something that's more cementitious to go with the masonry aspect. But in this instance, the way the siding wraps, I think it works okay. Obviously it'd be nice if I could carry that stone across the front, where I have a plain parged or concrete foundation there at the in-between part of the addition. And then at one time we had a patio door there because he actually had a ramp for his father. And I don't know if you could make that intermediate space disappear with a big piece of glass or multiple panel things of glass fenestration, but actually it sort of fills it kind of nice the way it is with the big window. Probably better than the patio door did.
Yeah, it does give us more functional space, but it would be like a sunroom front if we did everything in window, which with a lower, I guess is it a transom on the bottom and window?
I don't know that it would work.
How are you feeling about these? Like, are these things that you're really concerned with that we need to change, or is these what's the the tone of where we are with this, so we know?
I'm just offering my initial comments after having reviewed it on this first submission.
Mm-hmm.
I think can you clarify, is the garage in the same plane as the primary residence? Do they align perfectly in plan?
Yes.
They do.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that does make it a little bit difficult.
Yeah, my dad built the house, and then back then they had a choice, I guess, with the cost. It was either a dining room or a garage, so they chose the garage, and that's why I want to close the space so I can put a dining room in. But he actually wound up putting the garage in maybe a year or two after.
I was curious about it, whether that was an addition. It kind of looked like it might be, but
yeah,
hard to tell.
Yeah, and then they bought like 5 extra feet of land for the setback on the right, to the right of the garage. So it's not a perfect, the site is kind of moored off to the right. But he did everything, he did the right way. He's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, the garage wasn't the same depth as the house. It's exactly in plane in the front, and it's about, obviously how short it is to the back because of the vinyl siding that you see on the right side, the right elevation. And
I think it's about 8 feet shorter than the house. I think. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I'd have to see the plan. I could tell you in a heartbeat. I think might be 7 or 8, like he says.
Well, that does make it a little bit more difficult to match brick and make things interknit with one another. Being in the same plane is a challenge. and you may be forced to use a different material like siding there. It would be nice if the stone could carry across the bottom, but otherwise, I do prefer the contrast of these renderings, the elevations. And actually, the minimal traditional style, you'd probably be more likely to find white because all your trim is white. That was a pretty common color scheme for this style. I do like that it's sort of a very light gray. Gives it a little bit more of a contemporary edge. It's kind of announcing that it's not originally from the 50s. It is something new, but it's in keeping with that original style. And the idea of using a 7 or an 8-inch dimension on the siding is probably more in keeping with the original style.
I'm okay with a larger, I'm guessing you're saying a larger
lap or exposure of the side.
larger lap. I'm not okay with a gray color. I think it's too industrial. It's not warm. From my perspective, it doesn't complement the brick. But that's just my taste. But I'm open to a larger clap or whatever you call them.
Mm-hmm. Just a wider siding, which I think, would probably mimic the era of when this was built in the 50s, mimicking like an aluminum siding.
Yeah, I get that. That's fine.
Yep.
I think drawing A1 might show the front of the house. I'm not sure. Of the existing.
Yeah.
If you could see the color of the stone, maybe.
It's like it was a permastone my dad had installed probably in the 60s.
Did he put that over the block? Is that how that was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really? I don't remember that.
Yep, that was installed probably, I was a little kid, so it was probably late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, that's sort of when the stuff was coming through Reading, right?
The salespeople? Yeah. Okay. Well, Aaron, do we think we have enough information to like formulate a motion and maybe, if possible, provide like maybe some options or alternatives in the motion?
I'm not sure. Other board members should have a chance to speak. I feel like I'm the only one that has really said something. So maybe some feedback from others.
You've been pretty much leading the line there, Aaron, and I respect your opinions and what you're saying, and I respect Santos' positions also. So, there's not really much more for me to say. I mean, I think you guys have covered pretty much everything here. I don't know if there's anything more that can be rehashed over this at this point. So if you,
it's not throwing. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying, if it's at this point now, I think we just need to do something as far as moving on. Let's get this thing to a point where because we can be talking about this for another hour.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been here long enough.
Sure.
Still have more in front of us too. So.
Yeah, I understand that.
And I'll just ask Nigel again. Nigel, was there any other commentary that you had, or any commentary questions? No. Okay. Yeah, I like the direction that Aaron's going. I would agree. The board has been consistent on a material that is sort of mimicking the actual material. So I think the board's been very consistent with that. I agree that probably a wider lap on the siding is also good. I even in our executive committee, I did feel that the scale of the dormer was probably a little on the large side, but we've kind of worked through that may be challenging to try to reduce any further. But I did actually like the differentiation of the material, and then with the siding, and then also retaining the brick that's there visually and aesthetically. Except for maybe just the scale of that dormer overall, like Aaron said, a little heavy on the right side. I actually was in favor of the proposal, especially with the differentiation of the material. Even though I'm not voting, that's kind of my opinion as well.
Well, so is there a consensus that doesn't sound like there are any major exceptions to the proposed design? Would it be appropriate to defer the final approval of siding to staff level?
I think that would be appropriate.
Then I would make a motion to approve the proposed application for, what is it, 1920?
Yep, 1920 North 16th. Yep.
As proposed, with the final selection of vinyl siding to be approved at staff level.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I second that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll call for a vote. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Politica?
Yes.
Okay, and Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
May I just ask, the recommendation then is that it be a 7 or 8 inch, what's the word?
Lap.
Yeah,
Call it an exposure, probably.
exposure. That's exactly what I wanted. And a smooth surface.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
all right. So that's what we're gonna have Amy just do that final determination, but basically as proposed, the board is in favor of your proposal and has voted accordingly.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thanks for your time this evening.
You're
And thanks
welcome.
for waiting to get to your application.
No, it's okay. And sorry
Okay.
we dragged you out.
It's okay. It's okay. We don't take the additions lightly, so there's always a lot of discussion points.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again.
All right.
Amy, we'll
thank
be
you.
in touch then.
Yes, yep, that sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Take care.
Have a
Okay,
good night.
thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Have a good
Yes. Yes. Good night.
And I'm so sorry to do this to the applicants that have been waiting so long. Would you mind if we just took like a maximum 5-minute break? We've been going on like almost 2.5 or 3 hours. Would that be okay? We just come back in 5 minutes?
Yes, that's fine with me.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. We'll resume in 5.
And who's next in 5?
You are.
619 Church. Yep. Okay.
Right.
There you go.
Thank you.
You'll definitely be coming back.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for bearing with us.
No problem. Long process. I understand.
It's an exceptionally long agenda tonight. It's not normally this long.
Oh, okay. I like it better when it's in person. I
So
think
do
it goes a little quicker too.
Yes,
There's
it's
no
easier.
lulls in between questions.
Right. It's easier to understand each other too, because you can see the visuals more readily and everybody has them in front of them. So yeah, I mean, they do now, but it's just, yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All righty.
Hi.
Okay. I think my screen is flipped to night mode. That's not necessarily a good thing. All of a sudden I'm like, oh, it looks really different. Okay, has everybody returned? Okay, Aaron's back. Nigel, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, very good. Okay, and our applicant is here as well. Okay, well, if everybody hopefully enjoyed just a few minute break, and we will get into our next application, which is 619 Church Street. So Amy, if you want to go ahead and read that, we can get started on that.
Sure. This structure, built in the stick style, received a site quality rating of 102 and is an outstanding contributing building in the Center Park Historic District. The building has been compromised with the replacement of the original roofing material and the application of aluminum siding at the second and third floor levels. But it has retained a substantial amount of historical integrity and features the original brick facade at the first floor northern and western facades, the original porch structure with turned wood spindles and decorative brackets, the original wood trim at the third floor front gable, and original stained glass windows. And this description was written before the applicant has removed the aluminum siding.
Okay.
The Secretary of the Interior tonight we're reviewing the proposal for the replacement of the previously existing aluminum siding with vinyl siding, and for the replacement of the roofing material with asphalt asphalt architectural shingles or 3-tab shingles with an architectural shingle, and the standards that apply are standards 2, 5, and 6, of which I read earlier.
Okay, thank you. The applicant's welcome to make some comments if you'd like.
Good evening. Thanks for allowing me to be reviewed tonight. I'd like to start by thanking Amy for getting me on so quickly. I know she was out for a while and was swamped when she got back. So I would like to start by explaining, number one, there was a fire at the property. That's the whole reason we are rebuilding it. And there was a bit of a rush to get them back into the building. This building is owned by the church next door. They had no idea it was in the historic area. I didn't either. Just so you know, I've worked with Amy in the past on a lot of buildings in the historic district. I wasn't trying to pull a fast one or anything like that. I went down, I spoke with Jim Orr before I pulled the permit or put the application in for the permit. Spoke to him about what I needed to put on the application as far as, you know, framing and windows. And he didn't know it was in a historic area, and neither did I. It was just general questions to him about what needed to be on a permit. So spoke with him, put everything on the permit, gave the permit in. Nobody said anything at that time about the property being in the historic district. About 2 weeks go by, and I call up to find out where my permit is. Now, I did start the work because I've done a lot of work in Reading. I know the inspectors, I know what they're looking for, and I know the church wanted to get back in early. That was my bad. I had no idea it was, in the district. So I called up and asked where the permit was. They said it's at Amy's office. And I'm like, what? So because I needed an inspection by then for the framing. So it just so happened that was the exact same time that Amy was out. So I couldn't get in touch with Amy for about a week. So in the meantime, the roof went on again before I knew it was in the historic district. Then the siding came off. And at that point, we stopped doing anything on the outside. I went in and spoke with Amy and got that ball rolling. She went out, took pictures. So what we are proposing, what we already did, we took the 3-tab shingles off and we put the dimensional shingles on. We did put them in slate gray just to make it look like slate, not knowing that it needed to be a shingle that looked like slate. So I didn't find that out till speaking with Amy last week. We took off aluminum siding, as you saw in one of the pictures, and the church, the insurance is paying to put vinyl siding back on it. We wanted to do a 4.5 Dutch lap siding. Now Amy did show me the smooth siding that you guys have approved in the past, and I know you guys don't like the wood grain. The one that we already actually purchased, again, because we didn't know this, we had already purchased the material for it. It has a very slight, and I think I left some samples with Amy. It does have a very, very faint grain to it, but so does the smooth that she showed me. So it was definitely not like the wood grain of the other material that she had at the office. So what we're proposing is to, do the siding. Also the church, and the pastor is on with us tonight. He also wants to speak. I mean, it's a small church. It doesn't have a lot of money to be painting that facade, every 4 or 5 years. And it would take repair all the time and that kind of thing. So that's our plea, is to get the roof that we already put on there and the siding, replace what we took off. We're going to keep the windows, the vinyl windows that were already there are going to be replaced in the same size and kind. The wood windows are going to stay the wood windows. So with that, if you have any questions for me.
How would you classify the condition of the fish scale and this like vertical narrow picket?
I would say it's not in great condition. It would need to be repaired, and it also has a lot of holes in it from the aluminum siding that was put on over top of it. Even the wood sills around the windows, are rotted. They have to be repaired, things like that. It's not, that's on the inside, but I don't know how long it's going to last, because if those sills are rotting and the wood around the windows, the wood windows are all rotting, I can't imagine that the siding is not rotted as well. Whether you can really see it from the outside or not, it's definitely on the inside rotted.
Yeah, I think it's challenging in these pictures. Amy, were you able to like look at close inspection on the condition of the siding?
No, I didn't, of course, give you all of the pictures that I took. I don't know. I think, go ahead.
Is there a report from codes or building and trades on the where the property's at as far as shape?
No, there was a fire, and I had to repair the upper roof. We had to get an engineer in there. And we had the framing inspected. The whole house had to get, all the plaster and lath had to come off. The whole inside has to get re-drywalled, new kitchen, new bathroom, it was, extensive smoke damage.
So there was a fire, so there's insurance. It's being taken care of by insurance money, correct?
Yes.
If you scroll down,
But the insurance money is not going to pay for the upkeep of the house going forward. Vinyl siding is going to last them 30 years maintenance free. And that wood is not maintenance free and would cost them a ton of money going forward. And like I said, they're a small church. It's not a big congregation. If you know the little church next to it,
Hey, Bert, is it okay if I say something, Bert?
I'm sorry. Yes, go by all means.
Well, I just want to say, first of all, I'm amazed at what you guys do, and I really appreciate it. I never knew it was this deep with what you guys do. But just to let you know what's going on with that house, I've been the pastor of that church for 20 years. I knew the pastor prior to that, who has been the pastor for that church for 30 years. So for 50 years, that siding has been on that house. Prior to that pastor, there was Pastor Brown. He was the founder of the church, but prior to that, the Church of the Brethren used to be in that building and on that house. So as long as I've been there, there's been, and I never knew it was in the historic district. As long as I've been there, there's been this the aluminum siding on there, which I know just looking at some of the other wood on the church, that I'm really thinking that it's not really in that good shape. And as Bert said, one of the things that we pride ourselves on at New Hope is to keep our building looking good. If you go past the church and walk in, we really try to keep things up to date. And as he said, we're not a large church, and we're trying to do things that prevent us from doing maintenance all the time so that we can keep that area in that church. I think we have the finest property on that whole block. So yeah, we were trying to get that siding because I really don't think that wood that's there, I don't think it's in the best shape. And all the holes and the things that were on it over these past years, I doubt that it's in the condition that would just be painted, and we'd have to keep on painting it over and over and over again. So just to give you a little history of my.
Yeah. No, we appreciate that. Thank you. And we know that it's living in a historic district, whether it's you were aware or not, it is. I mean, there's definitely some sacrifice involved in terms of maintenance, but the mission of this board is to really do everything that we're able to do to ensure that these architectural homes and structures are really maintained as much as possible, but also once we see sort of historic material, we get really like giddy and excited about it. I'll be frank with you, we got very excited when we saw these pictures, and have a responsibility to understand thoroughly like whether or not this building could actually be restored. And what we see here, I mean, sometimes siding is like the worst thing for a building, and other times it actually does protect. If it was installed properly and maintained, it does protect what's there. And I think it may be challenging for the board, although I've been talking, I need to open it to the board. It may be challenging for the board to make that determination tonight without actually doing a site visit. But I will open it up to the board to have some questions, particularly about, like, we could start with the roof. Now, the roof was a 3-tab asphalt shingle, and then the roof of choice these days, well, for a long time, always seems to be kind of the architectural shingle. So, so Amy, like in the past, the board has, I mean, typically this would not have had, this probably would have had a slate roof. It would not have had a shake roof, which is what these shingles will, are trying to replicate. So in the past, like asphalt to asphalt, we're still concerned, for the applicant's sake, we're still concerned, not just necessarily material, but profile and style.
Correct.
Yes, okay. So it would be inappropriate for, I mean, if you return to 3-tab, that would be okay. But changing architectural, it's just something that would not have been, this profile would not have been on this building. So let's just start with the roof. Does the board have any like exceptions to what I said, or any questions for the applicant, or any other observations that they want to discuss?
This block on Church Street has, these homes are quite unique. I haven't seen anything like this on a row, on a block in the city anywhere, where they're all staying side by side. We have more samples of this on the block. Amy, have you been able to look in detail as to what the rest of them look like as in compared to what we have here now? Because I don't, the next door neighbor definitely, that house is kind of looking kind of nice as far as what you would be looking at. That's kind of what the house for the most part did. I think that is the most, I've looked at all these and they're all compromised to some degree. I mean,
Yes.
I've been down this block quite a few times. I would have to say that this one, I think, was, if I'm not mistaken, the one that's the closest to actual original that you can possibly get to. I mean, obviously the roof was compromised also in this one as well. But the shingles are intact on the side of the building, as well as the original windows are in place. I take it that, from what I saw with the aluminum siding, that the windows, the original Queen Anne style windows in the stick style building were taken out. Yeah, okay, that kind of confirms what I was looking at. They look like they are still on the first floor, but on the second floor they're not. And throughout the entire building, as you can see, they were not, the top piece was taken out of every one of them. So that's one thing to consider, as well as I think the change in the window at the 3rd floor there underneath the dormer, that's a little different also as well. I mean, it's really hard for me to look at this and say, yeah, let's go put siding on it, because when I see something like this, I mean, I have a home like this myself, and I'm in the process of replacing the wood in the back myself. So I understand exactly where the cost and all that stuff is involved. But at the same point in time, I look at these kind of properties and it's like, and these are very unique buildings. And, when I look on the right-hand side, I mean, it's going to be hard for me to push a button and say, yeah, let's go do it the vinyl siding. I think site visit would probably be more likely that we'd have to do at this point in time. I mean, certainly realistically, because, if we haven't gotten to that point and taken a thorough inspection of what we have here, I mean, it's kind of hard to actually sit here and make a decision right now.
And I would like to say, all those windows are shot on the white and red house. I don't think it looks good at all. I mean, yes, it looked cool back in the day, But if you walk down that street now, that looks crap, okay, in the front. But you'll
Well,
see it on your site.
that's a maintenance, that's a maintenance issue.
Well,
It's not-
it is, but it doesn't look good. I
Mhm,
mean, you know, and then the house next to that, the next one over down the street, that has the exact architectural shingles that we put on this house.
mhm.
So I just wanted to mention that if you do the site walk and I'm not there, you know.
Yeah, we can, yeah, I understand. We can see that. So, okay. Does the board have any questions about the observations about the roofing material? No, okay. Okay, so relative to the siding, I'm just gonna say, I think it's challenging for us to make a determination tonight without seeing the actually like doing a site visit and seeing the condition of this. I agree, it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily look great, but I just don't know that we're able to really make a determination whether or not it should just be covered back up, or whether or not it is salvageable and worth restoration. Because we're obligated to maintain and restore the original features in these buildings. I understand there is a practical component to that, but we're just, I don't think we're really at a point where we can make that decision tonight. But again, I want to open that up for more discussion with the board and how the rest of the board members are seeing this. If they agree or they have some differing opinions about the siding.
I have something to say. My house that I had in Center Park was insured for replacement value. And if there's wood damage that was caused by the fire, I think that it should be covered under your policy. That might be something you can look into by the next time we have communication with you about that.
Okay.
Or if the board does, determine that this is restorable and it should be restored, I don't know whether or not that's compelling for another claim with your insurance company, particularly if that cost is going to be higher than what the claim currently is. That could be compelling because we had a lot of, with the hailstorm, maybe that's what you were, or maybe this is the pastor, or somebody was referring to that in an application. There were, we created policies around that in the historic district because of that. So perhaps there's something that could be done relative to your insurance claim, potentially, depending on what our ruling is tonight.
Does the applicant know at this point in time whether the insurance policy is for full replacement value or a depreciated value?
I'm
not sure about that, Bert.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Can we put in the motion that they review that with Amy or report that back to Amy?
Yep, certainly. Yep, we can certainly do that.
Yeah.
But are you saying that if it's replacement costs, that they have to replace the wood? They're already paying for the aluminum siding that was on there.
No, I think
the property is the property. And you're going to have to look at your policy. I know mine was replacement value. I bought my house for $53,000, but the replacement value of it was $350,000 because if there was a fire, they were going to replace it with the original woodwork and the original stone, plaster walls, moldings, things like that, which are very difficult to find at this time and are expensive. So you're going to have to go through your policy and see. My concern is this is a great property. It is just phenomenal on the outside. The detail, I can see from the pictures some damage, but it doesn't look that bad. But like I said, I'm going to have to go out and take a look at it. I would love to see a report from building and trades or codes as far as what they found, or what the fire department said as far as structure, things like that.
If an insurance adjuster's report is available, that would also be relevant information. Because this involves roofing, our roofing guidelines do actually address, because of the hailstorm, we developed roofing guidelines that address insurance coverage for different types of roof damage. And depending upon the coverage, the application of the guidelines may be adjusted. So that would certainly be a consideration. It may not necessarily mandate that the wood is restored or that the roofing is restored to original, but it may play into the consideration. And I would suggest that the siding in this case be treated similarly because of the insurance as a consideration to the roofing.
Mhm.
All right, I'll see what I can find out. I mean, I think they're already maxed out on the whole claim because of all the interior damage, but I will find out.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be important for us to know, and that will drive better decisions for the board, more informed
Okay.
decisions.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
I think you can have the insurance adjuster's report and your policy to Amy within the next like 15 days.
I can try to get that. Yes.
Okay.
'Cause right now the house is open, is that right?
What's that?
The house is open right now, is it not?
No,
No,
it's
I know, I
not.
mean, like that window, is there glass in that window or is that black plywood?
On the second floor is open.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what I meant. Okay.
but the house is locked.
Okay, I just meant it's vulnerable. It's open to weather and animals on the
Yes,
second floor. Okay,
yeah, second and third floor.
second and third, I see that. Okay.
Can you put some kind of plastic there to protect?
Yes.
Okay, I'm feeling that this is moving toward, if the board would be in favor of maybe tabling this until we get some additional information related to insurance. And then I think as well, Amy or anyone else that would be willing to go out and take a closer look at the condition of the original siding, I wouldn't mind if that would be, if you allow us to do that, the contractor and property owner. Would that be okay if we arranged a site
Yes.
visit? Okay, all right,
Yes.
thank you. Would the board be in favor of tabling this until further
I'm in
information?
favor of tabling it, yes.
Yes, okay,
You know, site visit and then get some more information back.
okay,
Yes.
all right.
Sure.
Before we move that into a motion, are there any other discussion points from the board? Any other questions? Before we would do that?
Can I ask one question? This is Pastor Bell again, just
Sure.
one question. So if the insurance is maxed out, then do you take that into consideration in regards to rather the siding is installed or not? Because we don't have any money with COVID out and stuff. The
Yeah.
siding's been down and things like that. So we just want to make sure that the building is neat and it makes the block look good.
Mhm.
You know, maybe the insurance will allow us to get another claim. I don't know. But we definitely will check into
Yeah.
that. But if not,
Right,
then where
right.
do we stand that? If that doesn't happen, then do you take that in consideration?
I mean, yes, like if you have limited funds available or your insurance company will not pay out anymore. I mean, that's certainly a consideration for the board. It's been a while since I've looked at the roofing policy relative to full replacement. And I realized like that was developed as a result of the hailstorm, which was for the most part exterior damage, but obviously people had interior damage with roofs being compromised and water coming in. So there was certainly some interior work as well that was taken into account. So I think we have to understand your policy, and we're going to try to be as objective as we can and as consistent as we can relative to our policies and what we allow our decisions to be guided by. I know that was very vague, but we'll be fair. but we still have to balance, the historic. Yep. We still have to balance the historic character of this building, seeing what we see, and then what's feasible from a financial point of view as well. So there are just some factors for us that we have to look at.
How long has the historic year association in existence?
Center Park Historic District is going to be celebrating 40 years next year. So 1982.
Hallow Hill came in 78, so it was a little longer than that too. So
how did that? Just a question. I'm just asking. How did that aluminum siding get put on that building?
You said 50 years. It was probably up there for. So there's your answer.
Okay,
so it was probably done before it was a district.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was common in the 70s.
You just got to understand our viewpoint of it. When you see something like this, you just can't just say, okay, let's just put siding on it again.
Yeah.
You got to really take a really hard look at it and make sure that, it's kind of hard to just, knee jerk do that right off the bat.
Right.
We really explore this because our whole mission here is to make them look as original as possible. And, I am looking at original right now, so it's kind of hard I'm going to have to really see it and be, look at it in a different direction to be able to say, okay, I can, and the financings obviously comes into play too. Obviously, there's no question about that. But
sure.
We, just by looking at a picture like this, it's kind of hard for me to actually make that call right now. So.
Right, I understand. No problem. Okay. We have to do and get back to you.
All right.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay, so Rick, that was a motion. Would you also include in that motion just securing the open windows with plastic or tarp?
Yes. Secure the open windows with plastic to prevent them from weather getting in.
Very good. Okay.
Whatever.
Great. Okay, so is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. I'll call for a vote then. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Politica?
Yes.
All right. And then Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. So then what we'll need from the applicant or the contractor, whomever, is to supply that information relative to the type of insurance policy. And this isn't us prying, which is as transparent as you're able to be. At the minimum, we need to see the policy and understand what kind of policy it is. But the more transparent you're able to be, the more informed a decision we can make, and hopefully be a good partner for what you need.
And the adjuster's report as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it matter that after this fire, our insurance company dropped us?
Oh, they did?
Yep.
Dropped us. Exactly. So I don't know where their stance is, but they dropped us. We had a couple claims, a leak in the church, and they totally dropped us after this particular
incident.
So I don't know where to stand with that, but we definitely will.
Let's see what your policy says. Let's see what the insurance adjuster says, and go from there.
All right.
And then in the meantime, offline, then we could just arrange a site visit for any of the board members. I would love to see the property, close up just to experience it, but also look at the condition of the siding as well.
I am going to be there I am going to be there tomorrow between 10 and 11, if that works for anybody on the board.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work for me. I've got
don't work for me either,
meetings in the morning. Yeah.
Right.
but maybe through Amy, we could maybe try to find another convenient time for everybody.
Sure,
Would
sure.
that
I
be
was
okay?
just,
Okay. It's a lovely property. We'd love to see what we're able to see from the outside. So thank you. Okay.
no problem.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being patient. Hopefully you can get those windows closed up. I know we had a lot of rain last week, so hopefully there wasn't
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
there's
any
no
further damage.
drywall or anything in there,
Okay.
so it's not
Okay.
hurting much.
Okay.
So, but I appreciate it. I'll get that
Okay.
done tomorrow.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for bearing with us tonight and for waiting so long.
All right, you got it.
Okay.
Thanks,
All right.
Amy.
Thanks.
Bye.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Bye-bye. Amy, did you catch that?
Yes.
Did you hear it all? Okay. All right.
Yes, it's
I saw
to
you-
table until a site visit can be made and information regarding the insurance policy can be obtained.
Yep. And
The
adjusters.
windows are to be secured.
Yeah, he said he'd do that tomorrow. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, thanks, board, for that. Okay, all right, so let's move to our last application, 310 North Fifth Street.
Yes.
Is there an applicant with us?
Yes, Kevin O'Keefe with NBNC.
Okay.
and, Be representing AT&T.
Okay. Oh, right, the antenna. Okay, all right, very good. Thank you. Okay, Amy, go ahead.
Okay. The historical integrity of this three-story brick building remains substantially intact and features an original first-floor storefront with recessed entranceway. The structure closely mimics the structure at 308 North Fifth Street and carries over a copper cornice architectural element above the first-floor storefront, as well as a simple wood cornice and stone-capped roof line. The structure received a site quality rating of 74 and is a significant contributing site in the Callow Hill Historic District. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the installation of a small cell antenna at the third floor front roof line. And the Secretary of the Interior standards that apply to this project are 2, 5, and 6, of which I read earlier.
Okay, all right, the applicant, Kevin, if you'd like to present what you're doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Again, Kevin O'Keefe with Network Building and Consulting. We an authorized representative at AT&T. We've been in the Reading area since 2017, building out the AT&T small cell network. This particular location, as we refer to it as Reading 5 Node 4, has been looked at for many candidates with within that range of for the RF on North Fifth Street, and typically AT&T likes to play in the right of way with a utility pole from either a Verizon or your local power company, even light poles, etc. We exhausted all those candidates within that territory, and what we needed to do was to go and basically approach private landlords to see if they would have some. As you'll see here, this isn't your typical cell tower. It is a 4G antenna, which is about 24 inches high. And then underneath it is a proposed 5G antenna that at some point will be deployed in the Reading area. But, for permitting purposes, we proposed both, just so we didn't have to go through the process again. This particular location is on top of a rooftop. We are not penetrating the roof at all. We are actually going to be attaching to the parapet on the inside of the building. So, Amy, were you able to attach the photo sims?
Yes, that is in a separate email, Aaron.
Okay, hold on, let me find it.
Trying to see.
Probably about 4 o'clock today, 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yes,
today.
I sent them to you at 4:28 p.m.
Yep, I have them. Okay, I can open. Is there one in particular?
You might as well open up the first one, I guess. would be-
Okay. That's existing. Okay, hold on. And that's proposed. Okay,
Yeah, the proposed would be
Yep.
what you would want to look at.
okay.
Is that the, hang on. I thought it would have been popped up on the screen. My bad. I gotta open it up myself.
Let's see what else. Proposed, existing, proposed.
4D-E is the
Mhm.
street view.
Okay. Okay, all right.
So basically, you'll see in the one, we actually were able to take a photo on top of the rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
And we showed you where exactly the antenna would be attached on the parapet.
This one.
I know that there were some questions that came over from Amy. I was able to answer them and send them back. Amy, were you able to share that?
Yes, yep. Thank you very much for doing that. Yes, I provided all your emails to the board members.
And I think the primary one, which it usually always is can it be set back any farther so that it's less visible from the
Yeah.
street?
Right, and what we did go to RF, and because the 24-inch 4G antenna does not have the bandwidth of your usual macro site. You know, typically the 4G coverage area is anywhere between 700 and 1,000 feet. So with the size of the antenna, we have to take into consideration blockage from trees, buildings, etc. If according to RF, if that antenna was pushed back into the middle of the roof, it would eliminate the traffic that they're trying to grab on the road, you know, basically on North Fifth Street.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really interested in, you know, the residents around that are surrounding that building.
Mm-hmm.
In their building. What they're interested in is the traffic on the road.
Okay.
Um,
I'm going to ask the crazy. Oh, go ahead.
Basically, for anything like this on a small cell in any type of area, the radio frequency engineers are the ones that drive this. The radio frequency engineers are the ones that have all the technology in front of them that are showing coverage areas, etc. The main premise for a small cell in the area, and we have several going in the city of Reading, as well as the outskirts, it's to offload a lot of the traffic that is on a macro site, which could be close to proximity to, you know, this location. You know, the data basically is getting eaten up for the most part. And, you know, why they want to put these small cells in there is to really offload some of that so the area doesn't get exhausted. And when the area becomes exhausted, that just means that cell phone, when you're on your cell phone, it just drops.
Mm-hmm.
They're constant drops. So, you know, obviously they're looking to, you know, better the coverage area. You know, excuse me, the technology does play very well and is beneficial to 911, any local communications moving forward. You know, the city of Reading is a busy city. I get it. And what we're trying to do is really to better the surrounding by providing, you know, the small cell technology, which basically is taking basically 0 to 50 feet in height, that coverage area to make it stronger for everyone that actually has a cell phone. And that's, based on AT&T technology.
Okay, all right. I have a crazy question.
Sure.
And this doesn't mean that it represents anything, any other board member's point of view. If that antenna were made taller and set back farther into the building, would it be as effective?
Actually, I have an engineer on here, Ken. That would be Ken Kratz. He would be able to answer that a little bit better based on the engineering side of that.
Okay.
I believe that
just generally,
in
general terms.
Moving it back into the center, you have the building to the right that's a little taller that would block that 4G and ultimately the 5G. So if you look at it, the 4G is at top, and then there needs to be 36 inches difference between the top and the 5G. Let me see. Ken, are you still on?
Yes, I'm right here.
Okay.
Yeah, so
You
to
want
kind of
to
answer,
expand on what I was trying to explain?
yep, yeah, to answer your question a little bit. So the farther back from basically the front of the building that we get, also the taller that pipe's going to need to be. So like Kevin kind of stated out that each antenna kind of has its own array that it needs to do. So the farther back we get, that antenna needs to get higher just for that beam to be shooting down to, say, the front of this building.
Sure.
So, and of course, I mean, I'm not a full out structural engineer. I mean, our office does have other actual structural engineers, but you put, say a sled, we call them roof sleds that we put on the roof, that can, it creates more weight on that roof. We possibly have to do a lot more, work inside the building to try to make it possibly structurally sound for taking that. And the taller, that pipe gets, the more wind it's going to get. So that means the more ballast, weight we need to put on that sled so that thing's not blowing off the rooftop. So that's why we came up with the, more, we think, better solution to just mount it right to this wall. We're not affecting anything, with the landlord, as far as that, and we don't really need to, go as high, basically, because we're at the front of the building.
At the front, where you get the best signal and reception. All right. Okay.
And just let me expand a little bit. Just a typical rooftop, the equipment typically is on top of the roof. And what we've done here, just simply because we were out there several times, we knew that it was an historical building. We had the approval from the landlord, and we were able to get the design approval to be able to put the equipment on the concrete pad at the back of the building. And then we were able to have a certain length for the coax cable that runs from the AT&T equipment up the side of the building to the antenna. And most of the time, the RF engineers would like that run to be, less than 40 feet, simply because it takes away some of the strength and in the frequency in the coax or the fiber that is run to from equipment to the antenna. So what we were able to do is, really minimize the amount of weight that would be on this building, knowing that it was an historical, and we didn't want to, basically fracture or injure the structural of that rooftop and create problems for everybody. You know what I mean? We're not here to create any problems. We're just trying to get the antenna in the right spot. That's, for the most part, the most painful part of the process is probably looking at it, on this photo sim, because, after it's put up, you probably won't recognize it because you probably won't be paying attention, looking up at the, at the top.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to open it up to the board for some other questions. Either Rick or Aaron or Nigel. You have some concerns about the location, or is its location acceptable?
I think it's similar to the satellite ordinance in that we have a series of antenna. This isn't the first one that we've looked at, but they're with 5G networks being installed throughout cities. As it proliferates in Reading, this is becoming more common. And I think you have a similar issue with the reception that you have with a lot of satellite dishes. If there is a feasible means of obtaining the functional characteristics for the antenna at an alternate location, I think that needs to be looked at seriously. If not, you know, I think there are some things that could be done to make it less obtrusive. For example, the color selection, when you view it against the sky, and I think the third proposed image that's taken from a perspective vantage point is the most clear, where you see, it would be the next one. You see the image against the sky in the background. There's another image that's
Is there another one? Okay.
viewed from the
Maybe another
street.
email.
But you see it against the backdrop of the sky, and when you look at the sky from a distance, the sky tends to be lighter, closer to the horizon. And where this falls in the horizon line is close, not quite white. It's close to white, but maybe a lighter gray color would be less obvious, less contrasting with the sky in the background. I think certainly the height needs to be looked at, making sure that this is as low as it can be for that location. And if it can be made higher and pushed back, we've done that. We have approved applications like that in the past. I'm thinking of one at 5th Street and I believe it was Greenwich.
Yep, Greenwich, yep.
Where the structural engineer actually designed a beam that spanned between sidewall parapets in order to mount the antenna further back from the building facade. And I think that is something that can be looked at within the historic district.
The reason that we opted to show you the brown is because we were trying to get it as close to the brick as possible. If you guys don't want that, I mean, there's several colors that we can use.
Do you have something that would be more what Mr. Booth described?
Actually, if you look, I supplied an antenna spec sheet, and there was 3 different colors on the antenna spec sheet. It was in an email.
Yes, it's in the first email at 3:02 p.m. And it's the first,
okay, got it.
And it says data sheet.
Okay. Oh, okay, gray, brown, and black.
Those are the colors of the antenna. But if you would need the, the attachment pole to be a specific color, we would work with you. You could provide us with a color that you would specifically want, and we can match that up.
That would be a special color. What's the timing on wanting to get this installed on this house?
Well,
as soon as possible.
We submitted zoning and building and electrical July 1st. It's scheduled for 2021 build date or construction build.
Okay.
Preferably, preferably we would love to, per my tracker, they would love to have the BP and the EP by Friday. Not sure if that's going to happen, but building wise, being able to, get in, put this up. They would like to start the first week of October.
Mhm. Is it feasible, based on our previous discussion, to consider an alternate farther back? I mean, I realize it's not the most straightforward solution, but
How far back would you need to be?
Cleveland.
What'd you say, Amy?
I said Cleveland.
There's your answer.
We know. We know.
Farther the better is really the idea.
Yeah.
These things get approved a lot easier when they're farther back from the building. Even if they're at a higher elevation, if they're
Yeah.
off street level, that's the whole idea here. So pretty much that's where it's at. It's kind of hard to actually just, go ahead, because no matter which way you're going to color it, it still looks obtrusive, one way or the other, and it's still on the streetscape. That's number two. Two strikes against it at this point, so that's the bad part about it. So the further back you can go on the building, I think that would be the better way you're going to look at it. And if it's at a higher elevation, that would be okay. But the further back, the better off you are.
Ken, how high can we go?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta look at that. I mean, I was gonna bring up two maybe questions. Maybe I can ask Mr. Booth to elaborate a little bit on the other ones that might have been approved, if they were actually, cellular type antennas, or if they were just those dish satellite ones, compared to, just to get an idea exactly, how the maybe antenna arrays needed to go on those antennas compared to what we have to, go by. So, maybe the ones that those were going back farther didn't affect it as much as maybe, this. I just didn't know if it's the same type of project that we're doing.
Yes, they were the smaller scaled cellular antennas. I think the positioning geographically was a little bit better than yours. Topographically, they were at a higher elevation, but I think the pole was also much higher.
Mhm.
And what they did was they used beams that spanned between the sidewall parapets, and the beams were secured to bearing plates that were anchored into the masonry. And they were pocketed in. So from the exterior of the building, you couldn't see the bearing plate. It was set back far enough that from the streetscape, you pretty much have to be on the other side of the street to get a vantage point of the antenna. So I think that in terms of the height and the angle and how far it's set back, maybe using the opposing sidewalk as a reference point, that might be a starting place.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely look at it. I mean, we would have to go, kind of get some more, maybe help from our RF engineer, to see what, we can kind of do. I know this roof is more it does pitch a little bit. It's more of a flat kind of, open, roof there.
Pitches down. So if we move back, we're losing footage. We're going down probably 24 inches to 36 inches.
Yep. So, I mean, we can definitely look at it, but like I said, yeah, the farther back we do go, we are losing some, height, because it is pitched towards the back of the property.
Yeah, I think we have an obligation to understand what that is, because we are really setting precedents here as well. And for previous applications, in as many instances as possible, we have tried to push those antennas back so that they are not visible immediately right at street, like when I say street level, right at the front of the building, where they visually have the most impact, even if they're sitting up high.
Oh, and the height on the drawings is indicated as 5'4". So even if you were just 5 feet back from the parapet, you'd have a clear sight line at 45 degrees. So I don't think you have to go back real far to hide this from the opposing sidewalk.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Well, based on kind of where the discussion's going, I think we may want to consider tabling the application for further investigation by the applicant to see what can be done to push that back with the optimal, where they still get signal and we can evaluate what the height is.
Quick question. We get all the revisions and we're able to convince RF to move this back. We come up with a design that makes sense to represent. Is this once a month with you, with your group, or can we submit that and you guys could look at it since we've already been in front of it?
We would have to wait till the next month to review it. I'm not aware of anything else that we're able to do in the interim.
Okay.
So I know that puts some pressure on you to try to, I mean, we could try to keep
the
that.
pressure will be based on, you know, the waiting.
Yeah.
Waiting to get to get in front of you again.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make it happen tomorrow or Thursday, because it's that important of a of a location for us.
Sure.
We've tried every alternate type of structure in the area. And for whatever reason, you know, certain poles in the area didn't work, or, you know, leasing of the poles couldn't get through, you know, the red tape on both sides.
Okay. All right. Well, the board understands, you know, the urgency, and we'll make every effort to, if the material is submitted in time, and even Amy can give a, you know, slight extension moving up to the meeting, as long as it's not moments before the meeting, and we can ensure that that we get it on the next month's agenda. And in the meantime, don't hesitate to like have some dialogue with Amy. She can get some informal feedback from the board between meetings for guidance, or from the executive committee. But you know, officially it has to be reviewed by the board during our public meetings.
Do we need to fill out an additional application, or will this continue on as the same application?
Yeah, do you want to weigh in on that, Amy?
I was just saying, no, we can use the same application and just continue it. Yeah.
So if we provide you, I guess, with revised photo sims,
Mm-hmm.
a revised CD,
Yes.
and most likely we'll have to do a revised essay with structural analysis, would that suffice?
I think it would. Is there anything else the board would require? Anybody? No, I think that sounds sufficient.
Okay, all right. And, you know, and based on, you know, us moving back, you know, if the antenna changes or something like that, you know, we'll definitely provide all that information.
Okay, thank you.
That's the one thing, you know, anytime we make a small change, you know, up a can of worms for RF to introduce a new antenna.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like
Maybe we can work quickly.
We're trying to
enough
get one.
avoid
Yeah,
that.
we're trying to get one approved. Let's not try and muddy the water anymore.
Bring the next generation in and have to do that. Okay.
Right, exactly.
Which I'm sure is quickly behind everybody. So, yep. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we have to actually, the board has to make a motion accordingly to table. Is someone willing to make it? Assuming that's what the board wants to do. I'm not trying to strong arm anybody.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll second it then.
Second. Okay. All right. I'm just going to call for a vote. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Politica?
Yes.
All right. And Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Do you guys have any
Thank you
other
very
questions
much.
for us? All right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for, I don't know when you joined the call, but it's
I've
late.
been on since 6:30, so it was very
God.
informative.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully you learned a thing or two.
I did.
All right, good.
Thank you very much. You guys have a great night. Amy,
Yeah.
all our changes, I'll be in touch with you.
Yep. Nope. That sounds good. And I'll give you the deadlines for the next meeting. And yeah, you can email me as much as you need to. No problem.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for hanging in.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
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 Okay. All right. Where are we? Oh, Lordy. It's been a long night. Okay.
Let's make it fast because I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I get it. Okay, we're going to get through this as quickly as possible. Okay, so we have staff applications. Is there a motion to approve staff applications? Anybody?
I'll approve them.
Okay. All right. Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? No. Nigel, did I hear you say aye? Yes?
Yeah, you didn't
Okay.
hear me say no.
You didn't say no, but I didn't hear the aye, so I have to know. All right. Okay. All right, Amy. So without compromising information, just, you know, as efficiently as you can get through the violations. I appreciate it.
Yep, there's only two that I wanted to report on. On page 7 of the agenda, 331 Greenwich Street, and we're continuing to take the property owner to court, myself and a codes inspector. And the owner is working with us to make necessary improvements that were that are required by codes for property maintenance. But also I'm going to court to keep reminding him that he has to be compliant with the violation of the tile on the porch. So we're working with him, and the next court hearing is scheduled for October 5th. And then the other one is the one I sent you information on this afternoon, 1114 Perkiomen Avenue. And the owner, I don't know how to make this fast. It's not a fast project. The owner has submitted, I sent a compliance letter. The owner has submitted an application as I sent to you. And it's not his answer to what his response and proposal does not make the work compliant necessarily. He had installed timberline architectural shingles on the roof, and he's willing to bring the roof into compliance by putting GAF slate line, which was approved by the board and for me to be to approve at staff level, but he only wants to put it on the roof areas that are visible from a public right of way, which technically we don't have purview over non-right of public right of way view. So that's fine. But he is requesting to install storm windows over the vinyl windows that he installed illegally. So I sent you all the information. I wanted your opinion on what you feel my response should be.
So wood storm windows.
Wood storm windows over the vinyl windows that were custom made for the property to mimic the original wood windows. But he wants to put wood storm windows over the vinyl windows. So he's still not moving the vinyl windows.
Right. And this was the decision that the board made. He appealed to city council, who denied his appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's back to us, and he's proposing wood windows and to the roof, the second Empire roof, is that like 3 sides that are visible? You'd be doing
it's only 2 sides that are visible, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So half the roof would be in slate line, the other half would stay as architectural shingles, as timberline.
Right.
Okay.
But the parts that would stay the timberline would not be visible.
Mm-hmm.
It's landlocked. There's no alleys behind there. Behind house. So I'm okay with approving it. I mean, if it were me as a property owner, I wouldn't want different shingles on my roof, but they're of course trying not to make it any more costly.
I'm struggling with the fact that, you know, we made a decision, the appeal was not granted, and it's back to us, and now he's asking for an additional change.
Right.
I'd say stick to your guns to what we had the original agreement is, and it was denied, so that's where we're at, and stay the course.
I mean, are we denying him any right to submit new material? Is there something that we do have to accommodate?
The storm windows would be a new application because that was not previously approved, but he's still not bringing the vinyl windows into compliance.
Mhm.
He's permission to install custom-made wood storm windows from same period of the building over the top of the vinyl reproductions of the exact windows that were decayed and rotted out. These windows are located in space utilized by me and not by tenants, which allow me to permanently install white wood windows over the top of the others, as it will improve security without causing any safety issues. It will also improve insulation for heating and air conditioning, and most importantly, allow the outside of the property to meet your requirements of maintaining historic white painted wood windows on the outside, although they are far away from the street and sidewalk. So his point is, I'm taking from this, is that the wood storm windows will block out the vinyl windows, but it's still not alleviating or the
Yeah.
original and the
Right. He's not
vinyl windows
addressing,
still
he's not
installed.
addressing the violation. He's just covering it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm at a loss as to what we do. Like, I don't want to deny him any right to resubmit something, but this is
Right.
just like, we're just bouncing a ball back and forth, and the decision is the decision.
Right.
He continues to stay in violation, and this solution is not a solution. It doesn't address
Right.
the violation that council denied him
Right.
any relief on that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but that's my position on that.
That's
But
my position. I agree with that too. So.
okay.
He has, and I'm trying to see, it just says the resolution says that the board denied the windows due to, the standards, as we normally list, and due to the fact that the work undertaken does not comply with the hard window policy, of which prohibits the installation of vinyl windows on the front facade of a building and of which are exempt from consideration of financial hardship. In addition, historical information was not submitted for the dimensional compatibility between the original existing wood windows and the new vinyl replacement windows. It does not, there's no instructions of what he must do. It just says they are outright denied, the vinyl windows.
Right. It's pretty black and white.
Okay. Okay.
I have to excuse myself. I gotta go. Sorry. So.
Okay. That's okay.
Good night.
Okay, Rick. Have a good evening. Let's wrap up soon. Aaron, do you have any differing opinion from that?
No, I mean, you may want to review with our legal counsel.
Yeah.
But I think the previous determination by the board and by city council would remain intact. So, I mean, the applicant would certainly be, by right, they could submit an application for storm windows, but that does not preclude the previous determination.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Nope, that's what I need to know. I want to have it from you as a body, and it's not just me telling them that, but I of course always want to confer with you. Okay.
Okay.
I'll draft some sort of email or letter to that effect, and maybe if it's okay to run it by the board and just make sure that it's
sure.
Okay, what we do.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, and
All right.
then just to quickly run through the March meeting resolutions for the next ones to be reviewed. And the first one was for the art, that was an extension for the art in the downtown, and all of that I can see has been removed, I think. At least I know in the immediate buildings like on North Fifth Street and Penn Street, there's no longer any art. So I believe all of it has been removed. I'm not sure if the internally illuminated sign at 525 Penn Street has been installed. I did not notice that, but I can look. And the next one is, for the Christ Episcopal Church, for the approval for the restoration of the brownstone buttresses, and that's underway. All the scaffolding is currently up, and they're working on it. And there was a really nice article yesterday or Sunday that was in the paper about the work in the church, and it's
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That was nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
very nice.
Yep.
And then the last one, Aaron could probably answer, was for 120 South Sixth Street with the construction of the one-story addition at, is it Franklin Towers? That you had proposed, and I don't believe, I haven't gone by there. I don't know if work has begun.
They haven't started on that particular component of the project, but it will be undertaken.
Okay. And that's all I have.
Okay, very good. I do not have any, were there any committee updates? I didn't have anything.
No.
No, okay, all right, very good. And preservation accommodations, Amy's always willing to accept those, which is good, yep. And I did also want to recognize, which I didn't do earlier, Michael McDevitt is our new real estate broker board member. He's not been sworn in, but he's been a saint listening in all night. So thank you very much, Michael. And
welcome, Michael. You are a trooper, and this is a terrible way to meet first in person, but thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I messaged him like, this is not a normal meeting. This is really, well, it used to be normal. It hasn't been normal, but who knows? So, but it does give, Michael, gives you a little flavor as to the variety of things that we review, just not usually at this scale in one meeting. So thank you.
I think he left.
Okay.
Smart move.
I know.
Oh, well, it's okay. Hopefully he'll be sworn in, and then Amy's going to send him some information, and then we might have some onboarding with him, because that just helps to get everybody off on the right foot. So, okay. All right. Not to prolong things. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. I know that was arduous, and it's 10:25, so get some rest, and we'll talk to you next meeting, okay?
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.